Chapter 1837. The news that Xia Shiyun stayed with Lin Feng in the Barren Mountain Palace for 3 days and 3 nights spread like wildfire in the sect. Many people thought that Lin Feng must have done something heartless to Xia Shiyun. Xia Shiyun finally gave in. Then she chose to stay in the Barren Mountain Palace for another 3 days. As for what happened during this period, many people's imagination ran wild. Anyway, there were all kinds of theories. Of course, there were also many people who chose to believe Xia Shiyun. They didn't believe that Xia Shiyun really had a substantial relationship with Lin Feng. But Xia Shiyun stayed in the Barren Mountain Palace for 3 days. This was an indisputable fact. 3 days. It was enough for many things to happen. Moreover, it was a man and a woman staying together. Many people hoped that Xia Shiyun could come out and explain, but Xia Shiyun never appeared. Many people were furious and cursed Lin Feng as a scum. He actually kidnapped their goddess Shiyun fairy and did such a beastly thing to her. More and more disciples surrounded the barren mountain and constantly cursed, but Lin Feng never appeared. At this time, Turtle Master came. After seeing Master Tortoise, everyone fled in fear. "Damn, boy, you're good. You've only been in a mortal sect for a few years, and you've already gotten a fairy. You have master style when I was young." However, although young people can mess around, they still need to control themselves. Turtle Master patted Lin Feng's shoulder and said earnestly. Lin Feng rolled his eyes and said, "Don't listen to the nonsense outside. Xia Shiyun was my disciple's maid for 3 days. Nothing else happened." Turtle Master said, "Master will tell you a story." Lin Feng nodded. Master Turtle grinned and said, "One day, a man and a woman went out for experience. They were martial brother and sister, and they were lovers. There was only one room left in the inn, so they stayed together. The woman was shy, so she put a quilt in the middle of the bed before going to bed. Then she said to the man, 'Martial brother, when you sleep at night, you're not allowed to cross the quilt. Otherwise you're a beast.' The man thought to himself, 'Junior sister doesn't allow me to cross the blanket, which means that she doesn't want me to touch her.' The man was depressed for a long time and then fell asleep. The next morning, the man saw that the woman was not in a good mood. So he asked the woman why she was in a bad mood. The woman slapped the man. The man felt wronged, so he asked the woman why she slapped him. The woman scolded him that he was worse than a beast. After saying that, Master Tortoise looked at Lin Feng with a smile. Lin Feng couldn't help but roll his eyes. His cheap master was beating around the bush and saying that he was worse than a beast. On this day, Immortal Crane Boy came to Lin Feng's place. After seeing Lin Feng, Immortal Crane Boy said, "Martial brother, senior sister Xia told me to come find you. She told me to tell you that tomorrow afternoon she wants you to go to her Shiyun Palace. She wants to completely resolve the grudge between you two." Lin Feng nodded and said, "No problem. Go back and tell Xia Shiyun that I will definitely be there tomorrow." Immortal Crane Boy hurried back to report to Xia Shiyun. That night, Master Tortoise stood in front of the palace and looked up at the sky full of stars. He frowned and said, "The sky is going to change." "No, the stars are densely packed. There are no dark clouds. It doesn't look like the sky is going to change." Lin Feng couldn't help but say. Master Tortoise didn't say anything and returned to his palace. The next day, Lin Feng found that Master Tortoise had already left. At this time, he suddenly remembered the meaning of Master Tortoise's words last night, "The sky is going to change." This sentence clearly contains some special meaning. Where exactly is the sky going to change? Lin Feng muttered to himself. He felt that something must have happened somewhere. He couldn't see through this cheap master of his. Lin Feng always felt that this cheap master of his was hiding too many secrets. There are many things that I'm destined to not be able to participate in. Lin Feng couldn't help but shake his head. He naturally knew very well that this cheap master of Master Tortoise didn't tell him this matter because his cultivation wasn't high enough. In the afternoon, Lin Feng went to the Shiyun Palace. The Shiyun Palace was built by the sect for Xia Shiyun when she became the Holy Maiden. It was a symbol of status and identity. Not long after Lin Feng came out, a large number of disciples appeared and surrounded him. Lin Feng, you scum! What did you do to Fairy Shiyun? Many people roared angrily. Lin Feng curled his lips. It's none of your business. F***CK. Beat him up. Someone shouted. Many people wanted to make a move. Wait, Lin Feng shouted. What else do you have to say? Many disciples looked at Lin Feng angrily. Lin Feng said, actually nothing happened. Who are you trying to fool? If nothing happened, why would Fairy Shiyun stay at your place for 3 days? Someone said coldly. They didn't believe Lin Feng's words. Lin Feng said speechlessly, since you don't believe me, why do you ask me? Why are you asking me what happened? Is there something wrong with your head? Brat, you actually dare to mock us? Beat him half to death first. Someone shouted, secretly leading the crowd, wanting to gang up on Lin Feng. Lin Feng sneered and said, when did the disciples of the immortal sect become a group of hooligans? If anyone is dissatisfied, you can challenge me. Gang up. What a joke. Aren't you afraid of losing face? If your master hears about this, you people are destined to be abandoned by the sect because you are a bunch of trash. Who are you calling trash? You scum. How dare you call us trash? Many people cursed. You want to gang up on me instead of challenging me one-on-one? If you aren't trash, then what are you? Let me put it this way. Even if there were 10 times more of you, I would kill you as easily as killing a bunch of ants. If you weren't disciples of the Reincarnation Immortal sect, you would have died long ago. Lin Feng shouted arrogantly. The surrounding disciples were about to explode. Lin Feng was too arrogant. They had never seen such an arrogant person. Brat, I'd like to see what ability you have to boast so shamelessly. A disciple in a purple robe walked out with a sneer. It's Wang Muyu. He's ranked 3rd among the core disciples. He's about to become a holy son. Ha! Since Senior Brother Wang is here, that scum Lin Feng is definitely not Senior Brother Wang's match. I can't wait to see his expression when Senior Brother Wang tramples him. Let's see if he'll still be as arrogant then. Chapter 1838. Lin Feng. I've heard of him. His talent is amazing. Even the patriarchs were alerted. However, talent does not represent strength. Since ancient times, there have been many talented people who have been annihilated by the masses. This is enough to explain a lot. Now that you think you have some strength, you are so arrogant and despotic. You even did such a heartless thing to the female disciples of the sect. If I don't teach you a lesson today, the Reincarnation Celestial sect will be disgraced if the news of what happened in the immortal sect spreads. Wang Muyu looked at Lin Feng icily. He had a strong sense of righteousness that inspired reverence and reverence. First, he wanted to reprimand Lin Feng. It was as if everything he had done was right. Said Lin Feng indifferently, I really don't understand. With your intelligence, how did you manage to join the sect? I told you that nothing happened between me and Yun Yun, but you didn't believe me. You made yourself sound so great and noble. You made me feel like I was worthless. How ridiculous. Do you know why you're just ordinary disciples of the sect? The reason is that they're too stupid. A bunch of idiots. It's not easy to stand out in the celestial sect. The surrounding disciples were about to explode with anger. They wanted to slap Lin Feng to death. Senior Brother Wang, hurry up and teach this scum a lesson. We all support you. That's right, Senior Brother Wang. It's best to cripple this scum. This is simply getting rid of a scum for the people. I wonder how many innocent girls will be saved from being persecuted by this scum. Many people shouted. Wang Muyu said, "Everyone, don't worry. I will let this scum receive the punishment he deserves." Then Wang Muyu looked at Lin Feng and said, "I don't want to be called a bully. I will let you have 10 moves first. After 10 moves, I will make my move." "Let me have 10 moves?" Lin Feng looked at Wang Muyu strangely. "Of course. Wang Muyu, always keep my word." Wang Muyu placed his hands behind his back, looking unfathomable. Senior Brother Wang is indeed one of the top 3 core disciples. In fact, Senior Brother Wang is much stronger than some of the holy sons and holy daughters. Now that Senior Brother Wang is about to be crowned as the holy son, it is also what everyone expects. That's right, Senior Brother Wang is a man of noble character and unquestionable integrity. Let this scum have 10 moves first. Let him accept his defeat wholeheartedly. Many people started to flatter him. After Wang Muyu heard this, he couldn't help but reveal a smug expression. Although the scum is very arrogant, his strength is really strong. You should know that Fairy Shi Yun is also a saintess, yet she was captured by him. Someone said, Fairy Shi Yun was plotted against by this brat. Otherwise, how could he have captured Fairy Shi Yun? That's right. How many years has it been since this kid joined the sect? Moreover, this kid was very young. Even if he started cultivating in his mother's womb, how many years had it been? If he can defeat the holy sons and holy daughters now, how will the others survive? Another round of arguments could be heard. At this time, Wang Muyu looked at Lin Feng and said, "Don't waste time. Quickly attack. You can rest assured that I'll let you have 10 moves first. In that case, I will definitely not attack for the next 10 moves. Then, Senior Brother, Wang should be careful. My punches are very fast." Lin Feng reminded him. Wang Muyu looked at Lin Feng with contempt and said, "Just attack me." Whoosh! Lin Feng moved. He rushed toward Wang Muyu. When he was about 10 meters away from Wang Muyu, he suddenly accelerated. Whoosh! Like a bolt of lightning. In the blink of an eye, he had already arrived in front of Wang Muyu. Fast. It was extremely fast. It was so fast that countless people couldn't react in time. Wang Muyu was also taken aback. He quickly retreated. He wanted to dodge Lin Feng's attack. However, it was too late. Lin Feng didn't give Wang Muyu any time to dodge at all. Bang! That punch directly smashed into Wang Muyu's face. Wang Muyu's neck was smashed. Fresh blood immediately flowed out. His whole body flew backward for more than 10 meters. He fell to the ground with a plop. He didn't move. He actually fainted. What happened? Many people were stunned on the spot, looking at each other in dismay. They couldn't believe what they saw. Wang Muyu. He was ranked 3rd among the core disciples. He was about to be promoted to the sacred son. He was actually knocked out by Lin Feng, this scum, with one punch. Although Wang Muyu said that he would let Lin Feng make 10 moves, he didn't take the initiative to attack. But everyone was clear. Even if Wang Muyu took the initiative to attack, he was afraid that he wouldn't be able to dodge Lin Feng's attack. Because Lin Feng's speed was really too fast. All the martial arts in the world, only speed was unbeatable. When the speed reached a certain level, the opponent might not even have the chance to attack before being defeated. It seems that this guy's strength isn't very good. Lin Feng clapped his hands and then flew into the distance. None of the surrounding disciples dared to stop Lin Feng. Wang Muyu was such a powerful person, yet He was knocked out by Lin Feng with one punch. As for the rest, they didn't dare to provoke Lin Feng. Everyone watched as Lin Feng left. Fatso flew over from afar and laughed strangely, saying, Lin Feng's recent matter has caused a lot of commotion. Could the rumors be true? Little Donkey shouted, Damn, Fatso, do you think little Lin Feng is like you? Little Lin Feng is a gentleman. Brother Donkey understands me, Lin Feng said. Fatso asked, Where are you going? I'm going to Shuyun Palace to see little Yun Yun. Lin Feng said. Fatso immediately shouted, Damn, you've already called little Yun Yun, and you're still saying there's nothing going on? Lin Feng grinned and said, Our relationship is still pure for now, but I don't know if it will still be so in the future. Nothing good will come out of Xia Shuyun's invitation to Shuyun Palace at this time. Come, let's go together and support me. That's good. I haven't been to the 10 fairy palaces yet. I'll take a look at Fairy Shuyun's palace to broaden my horizons. Fatso was overjoyed. Lin Feng, Fatso, and Little Donkey then headed to Shuyun Palace. Shuyun Palace was located in Shuyun Mountain, and the mountain was named after Xia Shuyun. When they arrived at Shuyun Mountain, dozens of disciples stopped Lin Feng, Fatso, and Little Donkey. This was a group of female disciples, and every one of them was a top-grade beauty. Who are you? Shuyun Mountain is not a place you can casually enter. One of the female disciples asked. Senior sister, my name is Lu Ziheng, and I'm still single. How should I address you? Are you betrothed to someone? Fatso's eyes widened when he saw the female disciple leading the group. This female disciple had a petite figure and an exquisite face. She had a delicate temperament, and any man who saw her would probably want to hug her and dote on her. Humph! How dare you try to get close to me again? Do you believe that I won't kill you with my sword? The female disciple coldly snorted and drew her sword, sweeping it at Fatso. The fatty hurriedly retreated in fear, dodging the female disciple's sword. Chapter 1839. Senior sister, don't be so fierce. We should care for each other. Fighting and killing are things that only barbarians do. Fatso said, embarrassedly as he stared at the female disciple. The female disciple coldly glanced at Fatso and said, Hurry up and scram. Otherwise, I'll kill you with my sword. Lin Feng couldn't help but wipe his sweat. No matter how gentle and quiet a woman was, it was inevitable that she would have a wild heart. At this time, he said, Senior sister, I'm Lin Feng. Little Yun Yun invited me here. Hearing Lin Feng's name, the group of female disciples all looked at Lin Feng with strange gazes. There were rumors in the sect. Naturally, they had already heard about it. The leading female disciple said, You can enter the poem palace, but Fatso can't go in. Fatso grinned and said, I'm not going in. I'll stay here and accompany senior sister. Fatso's original ambition was to bring a fairy back to be his wife. Could it be that he knew that it was too difficult, so he took a step back and settled for the next best thing? He chose to bring an ordinary female disciple back to be his wife. Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter in his heart. He didn't stay outside and flew up the mountain. The poem palace was built at the top of the mountain. There was a huge platform here with continuous palaces. When Lin Feng arrived at the top of the mountain, someone led Lin Feng into the main hall. There were female disciples everywhere on the poem mountain. These female disciples were all chosen by Xia Shuyun. They could cultivate in the poem mountain and receive her protection. Naturally, many female disciples were willing to rely on Xia Shuyun. The main hall was very large, but it was incomparably empty. After entering the main hall, Lin Feng didn't find Xia Shuyun. He shouted, Little Yun Yun, I'm already here. Where are you? Why don't you come out and see me? Shut up. Don't call me little Yun Yun. Xia Shiyun gnashed her teeth as her voice came from the inner hall. Then she walked out. Today, Xia Shiyun was wearing a snow-white dress. She was as beautiful as a fairy. In addition to Xia Shiyun, there were two other female disciples who walked out with her. Of these two women, one had a graceful figure and a perfect golden ratio. She was simply a masterpiece of the heavens. The other person had an otherworldly temperament, as if she was a peerless fairy from the 9 heavens who had fallen to the mortal world. The two beauties each had their own unique characteristics and different temperaments. However, they were both peerlessly beautiful and breathtakingly beautiful. Lin Feng had seen these two women before. They were the other two fairies who had played with Xia Shiyun in the pool. This female disciple, with a graceful figure, was called Bai Yusin. This female disciple, with an otherworldly temperament, was called Nangong Qiming. Little Xin Xin, little Meng Meng, you guys are here too. It's been a while since we last met. You guys are still as beautiful as ever, Lin Feng said with a smile. Little Xin Xin, little Meng Meng. Bai Yusin and Nangong Qiming looked at each other. Then they spat at Lin Feng. Shameless! Xia Shiyun cursed Lin Feng. Little Yun Yun, although it's said that beating is a sign of affection, scolding is a sign of love. However, I'm a person who gets shy easily. Please don't be so blatant and express your love for me again and again, okay? We can talk about our personal feelings in private. Lin Feng looked at Xia Shiyun with a smile that wasn't a smile. Xia Shiyun gnashed her teeth in anger and couldn't help but shout, "Who admires you? You only know how to put gold on your face. Since you've entered this hall today, don't even think about walking out in one piece." As soon as she finished speaking, Xia Shiyun waved her hand. A loud, rumbling sound suddenly resounded. The originally open door directly closed. Inside the main hall, formation runes intertwined. The entire main hall was sealed by a grand formation. Lin Feng said, "Little Yun Yun, you didn't ask the crane boy to summon me here to negotiate with me. It seems like you're determined to deal with me today." Negotiate? You think I'll negotiate with you? Are you going to surrender without a fight? Or do you want us to beat you half to death before capturing you? Xia Shiyun said coldly. Little Yun Yun, impulsiveness is the devil. If you remove the formation now, I'll pretend that nothing happened. Otherwise, you'll be the one to suffer. Do you really think you can deal with me? Lin Feng curled his lips. I've set up a grand formation here. I also have Senior Sister Yusin and Senior Sister Qiming helping me. Do you think you can deal with so many of us by yourself? Xia Shiyun sneered at Lin Feng. Lin Feng said, "Can I know what you're going to do to me after capturing me? If you want my body, I won't resist." Xia Shiyun couldn't help but curse. "Shameless bastard, who wants your body?" Bai Yusin and Nangong Qiming also looked at Lin Feng, helplessly. Lin Feng was simply too shameless. They were usually otherworldly fairies, so they rarely interacted with the disciples of their sections. The disciples who could interact with them were the top geniuses of their sections. Which one of them wasn't polite? Yet Lin Feng could say anything vulgar, making them feel at a loss. Xia Shiyun was slightly better. After all, she had lived with Lin Feng for a few days, so she believed that she understood Lin Feng quite well. In addition, she had a fiery temper. Therefore, she didn't mind cursing Lin Feng. However, Bai Yusin and Nangong Qiming cursed him. They would never do such a thing. At this moment, Xia Shiyun continued, "Senior Sister Yusin, Senior Sister Qiming, let's make our move. Let's work together to suppress this guy first." All right. The two women nodded, having no objections. Then, The three of them quickly separated and went to three different places in the main hall. Then, both of her hands continuously changed seals. All kinds of mysterious seals were displayed. Rumbling sounds could be heard. Suddenly, the array was completely activated. While all the sounds could be heard, the array turned into chains of order and wrapped around Lin Feng. Insignificant skill. Lin Feng smiled faintly and shuttled through the array. The chains wrapped around him, but they couldn't touch Lin Feng's body. Impossible. The three fairies couldn't help but exclaim at the same time. They simply couldn't believe their eyes. Such a powerful heaven-sealing demon lock array couldn't touch Lin Feng's body. How did this guy do it? Activate the universe galaxy array to suppress him. Xia Shiyun yelled. Bai Yusin and Nangong Qimeng nodded. Both of their hands formed a new seal. A new array was activated. Incantations were sent into the formation one after another. Suddenly, the main hall seemed to have disappeared, and Lin Feng, Xia Shiyun, Bai Yusin, and Nangong Qimeng all came to the starry sky world. Chapter 1841. The three women looked at Lin Feng cautiously. Xia Shiyun was the first to react. She said, "Junior brother, we were just joking with you. We've heard that you're proficient in formations and have a high cultivation base, so we wanted to test you. After testing you, we found out that the rumors were true. Junior brother is really amazing. The three of us have already decided to submit a petition to the sect and request that you be crowned as the Holy Son." Lin Feng looked at Xia Shiyun with a smile that was not a smile. "Little Yunyun, when did you lie so easily?" Xia Shiyun hurriedly said, "I'm not lying. I'm telling the truth." "Is that so? But I don't believe you. How do you think I should punish the three of you? How about it? Why don't we sleep together tonight?" Lin Feng looked at the three fairies with a smile that was not a smile. Even though the three fairies had different auras and appearances, they were all as beautiful as fairies, with peerless elegance. When they heard Lin Feng's words, their faces turned pale. "Lin Feng, don't act recklessly. If you dare to act recklessly in the sect, you should know what kind of punishment awaits you." Bai Yusin bit her lip. She wanted to use the sex rules to intimidate Lin Feng. Lin Feng said seriously, "When the rice is cooked, the sect might betroth the three of you to me, so I don't need to worry. Come back to the barren mountains with me. It's going to be dark soon. Every second of the night is worth 1,000 gold. We can't waste this beautiful night." Lin Feng waved his hand, and his magic power wrapped around the three women. He opened the palace's door and quickly flew outside. "Hurry up and stop him. Save us." The three women immediately shouted. The female disciples of the Shiyun Palace were alarmed. They all came out, wanting to stop Lin Feng. However, Lin Feng was too fast. He grabbed Xia Shiyun, Bai Yusin, and Nangong Qimeng and turned into a ray of light as he flew into the distance. The three senior sisters were kidnapped by that scum Lin Feng. The expressions of many female disciples on the Shiyun mountain changed. Fatso, who was trying to curry favor with the female leader, shrank back and turned to run. The female leader shouted angrily, "Sisters, Fatso is that scum Lin Feng's friend. Let's chop him half to death, and then use him to exchange for the girls." Swish! The group of female disciples unsheathed their swords. Suddenly, cold light radiated in all directions. "Oh my God! Run!" Fatty wailed and ran off into the distance. The donkey ran even faster, running far away. Very quickly, the news that Xia Shiyun, Bai Yuxin, and Nangong Qimeng had been kidnapped by Lin Feng spread like wildfire. This time, the sect was in an uproar. Xia Shiyun's matter was not completely settled. Now, Lin Feng had committed another crime. Not only did he kidnap Xia Shiyun for the second time, but he also kidnapped Bai Yusin and Nangong Qiming. They were the 10 fairies of the sect. This time, Lin Feng kidnapped 3 of them. Xia Shiyun, Bai Yusin, and Nangong Qiming were goddesses in many people's hearts. They were the dream lovers of many people's dreams. Now, the sect's disciples were completely enraged. Defeat the scum. Expel the scum. Return justice to the reincarnation immortal sect. Hundreds of thousands of disciples marched through the sect, creating a huge scene. Fatso rode on Little Donkey and tried to sneak out of the reincarnation immortal sect. This was because Fatso was caught in the crossfire. The disciples of Poetic Bamboo Mountain, Yusin Mountain, and Dreamlike Mountain were all looking for him. That damned Fatso is a friend of that scum, Lin Feng. Catch that damned Fatso, and use that damned Fatso to force Lin Feng to hand over the 3 fairies. Someone recognized Fatso, who was trying to sneak away, and immediately shouted, "Catch him!" Many people rushed towards Fatso. Fatso shouted, "Everyone, you've misunderstood. I'm really not familiar with that scum, Lin Feng. I'm on the same side as you. Let's beat that scum, Lin Feng, and return justice to the reincarnation immortal sect." Fatty shouted as he waved his arms and cheered. However, no one believed Fatso. Everyone chased after Fatso. Fatso was so scared that his whole body trembled. He shouted, "Brother Donkey, whether we can escape or not depends on you." "Ha ha ha, ha ha ha." Little Donkey laughed strangely and then raised his hooves. He was as fast as lightning. He rushed into the distance. Many people pounced on Fatso, wanting to catch him. However, they were all sent flying by Little Donkey. Fatso rode Little Donkey out of the encirclement and ran out of the sect. In the blink of an eye, he had disappeared without a trace. Damn it, Fatso escaped. Let's go to the barren mountain and surround that scum, Lin Feng. We must report this matter and let the higher-ups punish this scum. It's best if they expel him from the stone sect. Countless disciples shouted and were filled with righteous indignation. The higher-ups had indeed received a joint report from the disciples of the immortal sections. Dozens of grand elders gathered in the main hall of the sacred mountain. Now that the sect master was not in the sect, the important matters were decided by the sect master's junior brother, Elder Xingyu, who was ranked first among the many grand elders in the sect. "Master, that disciple of Lord Tortoise is causing too much trouble. Shouldn't we restrain him? We don't want him to go overboard and end up in a mess." The grand elder of the enforcement hall said, with a headache. Countless people rushed into the enforcement hall and asked the enforcement hall to deal with Lin Feng. The enforcement hall had turned into a wet market. Many grand elders spoke up as well. They felt the need to restrain Yi Fuqian. Elder Xingyu opened his eyes and said, "Lord Tortoise is the senior with the highest seniority in the reincarnation immortal sect. Although Lord Tortoise's actions have been criticized by the disciples, there's one thing everyone should remember. Lord Tortoise is an old senior that the reincarnation immortal sect needs to rely on. Ancestor, you don't have to worry about Lord Tortoise's disciple, Lin Feng. He might like to cause trouble, but he's not a bad person. Do you think Lord Tortoise will accept a disciple with a bad character as his disciple?" Everyone knew that Elder Xing, you had spoken up. They knew that the higher-ups would not get involved in this matter. Elder Xing, you continued, "Our reincarnation immortal sect has been at peace for too long. It's good to let that kid cause trouble. It's not a bad thing to stimulate the disciples' bloodthirst." "Master is wise," the grand elders said in unison. The disciples outside had formed the Anti-Scum Alliance. However, no one was able to enter the barren mountains, so no matter how much they clamored, they could not care less about Lin Feng. A month later, Xia Shiyun, Bai Yusin, and Nangong Qiming left the desolate mountain. Celestial girl, Lin Feng, that scum, wouldn't he, the holy princes had appeared, and they could not continue speaking. The three fairies did not say anything about what had happened in the past month. They quickly left. Chapter 1842. Recently, there were rumors that the Thunder God's inheritance had appeared in the bottomless ocean. So many people rushed there. The Anti-Scum Alliance in the Reincarnation Immortal Sect was still in an uproar, but Lin Feng quietly left the Reincarnation Immortal Sect. Then he took the teleportation array to the bottomless ocean. Lin Feng arrived at the Blazing Sun State, which was adjacent to the bottomless ocean. The reason why this prefecture was called the Scorching Sun Prefecture was because it was the first prefecture to see the sun rise. The Divine Land City was located in the easternmost part of the Blazing Sun State, less than 1,500 kilometers away from the ocean. It was one of the oldest cities in the Blazing Sun State. The Thunder God's inheritance is in the bottomless battlefield. It's very dangerous there. If you want to go to the bottomless battlefield, you can only take a giant ship to the Myriad Immortals Island and then go to the bottomless battlefield through the Myriad Immortals Island. Our founding trading company is powerful and has the most advanced and powerful fleet. Our fleet is definitely the best choice to go to the Myriad Immortals Island. The Divine Land Trading Company is the top trading company in the Divine Land City. Our fleet is guarded by heavenly gods. If you go to the Myriad Immortals Island with our fleet, you will be safe. When Lin Feng came out of the teleportation array, he saw that there were people from various trading companies everywhere. Now, many cultivators wanted to go to the bottomless battlefield. All the trading companies saw a business opportunity. Lin Feng first went to the bookstore to buy a few books about the bottomless ocean. The bottomless ocean was the sea world in the eastern part of the 9 states. The bottomless battlefield was located in the deepest part of the bottomless ocean. There were powerful restrictions there, and it was rumored that it was a battlefield of gods and demons. The forces in the bottomless ocean were complicated. There were 3 most powerful forces. The first was the Myriad Immortals Island. It was a human force. The second was Fusang Island. It was the home of the Kinwu people. The third was the Evil Dragon Palace. In addition to the 3 top forces, there were countless forces of all kinds. There were countless pirates in the bottomless ocean. Many pirates were wanted on the Immortal Dao's wanted list. After reading a few books, Lin Feng had a more direct understanding of the bottomless ocean. The bottomless ocean's periphery and central regions were mainly controlled by the Myriad Immortals Island. Meanwhile, Fusang Island and the Sinkhole Evil Dragon Palace controlled most of the central region and the deeper regions of the Sinkhole Sea region. Since the Thunder God's inheritance appeared in the deepest part of the Sinkhole Sea, in the Sinkhole Battlefield, the Sinkhole Battlefield was located in the depths of the Sinkhole Sea. As such, they had to pass through Fusang Island and the Sinkhole's Evil Dragon Palace's sphere of influence to reach that area. The Golden Crow of Fusang Island, the 9 great evil dragons of the Sinkhole Evil Dragon Palace. Each one was greedier than the other. Each one was more evil than the last. How could it be so easy to pass through their territory? There was no need to mention the dangers involved. As such, everyone headed to the Great Immortals Island. The Myriad Immortals Island was very powerful. It had always been a tripartite balance of power with the Fusang Island and the Sinkhole Evil Dragon Palace. Therefore, many cultivators would go to the Great Immortals Island and wait for the Great Immortals Island to find a solution. Of course, if the Great Immortals Island really thought of a way to safely pass through Fusang Island and the territory of the Evil Dragon Palace in the bottomless abyss, If one wanted to follow the myriad immortals island through the territories of many great forces to reach the returning ruins battlefield, one would naturally have to pay a great price. Lin Feng rested in Divine Land City for 3 days. Then he boarded the fleet of the Divine Land Trading Company. The fleet of the Divine Land Trading Company was the local snake force and was still very powerful. A total of 42 giant ships headed to the great Immortals Island together. Ordinary sea demons or pirates would not dare to invade. Lin Feng paid 1,000 origin crystals and booked a private room. Soon, the fleet sailed to the great Immortals Island. There were brothels, casinos, and other places on the giant ship. If cultivators felt that sailing on the sea was too boring, they could go to these 2 places to have fun. There was even a male immortal pavilion on the giant ship. When Lin Feng passed by the male immortal pavilion, he found that some female cultivators had entered one after another. He was a little puzzled. What kind of place was the male immortal pavilion? Why were all the people who entered female cultivators? After asking, he found out that the male immortal pavilion was similar to a brothel. It was just that the brothel entertained male customers. The male immortal pavilion entertained female customers. The male cultivators in the male immortal pavilion were all extremely handsome. They were loved by many female cultivators. Lin Feng was rather speechless. He didn't expect there to be such a place. However, since there was such a place as a brothel, it seemed normal to have a male immortal pavilion. The male immortal pavilion doesn't only entertain female cultivators. It also entertains some male cultivators. Someone laughed and said, "This laughter was really evil." Lin Feng couldn't help but have goosebumps all over his body. Although he didn't discriminate against those male cultivators who were gay, as a normal man, when he thought about the meaning of being gay, he couldn't help but feel a chill run down his spine. He went to the casino and walked around. There were many people gathered here. At each gambling table, there was a sexy female cultivator in revealing clothes presiding over the gambling. There were all kinds of games in the casino, such as pai gow, dice, blackjack, roulette, and so on. Lin Feng wasn't interested in gambling. He just came to take a look out of curiosity. There was no lack of people who became rich overnight, but there were also people who lost everything. Lin Feng saw a young cultivator lose millions of origin crystals at a gambling table in one go. The young cultivator's eyes were red from losing. "Wait, I have a treasure here. I'll go and exchange it for origin crystals now. I'll come back to gamble later. I'll definitely get my money back." The young cultivator shouted in a hoarse voice, then quickly left. There was also a place to exchange chips in the casino. If you lost all your origin crystals, you could exchange them with magic treasures or other treasures. Lin Feng shook his head slightly. That young cultivator was clearly mentally unstable. No matter how much he exchanged, most likely they would all lose. The casino was filled with smoke. He didn't stay for long and walked outside. Just as he arrived outside the casino, a cultivator quickly ran out of the casino. It was the young cultivator who lost millions of origin crystals in one go. When the cultivator passed by Lin Feng, he quickly stuffed a storage ring into Lin Feng's hand. Then he quickly ran into the distance. He seemed to want to rush out of the ancient ship. A group of more than 10 cultivators chased out of the casino. What happened? Lin Feng was puzzled. The cultivators chased out of the ancient ship and fought with the young cultivator, who escaped in the sea. Poof! The young cultivator's head was chopped off. "Did you find it?" the leading cultivator coldly asked. "Found it." A cultivator found a storage ring on the dead young cultivator's body. Then he threw the young cultivator's body into the sea. A sea demon emerged from the water and swallowed the young cultivator's corpse in one gulp. Chapter 1843. Lin Feng returned to his private room and sat cross-legged. He frowned slightly, feeling that something was wrong. A group of cultivators went to kill that young cultivator, obviously for the storage ring that the young cultivator had just given him. At this moment, Lin Feng suddenly thought of the young cultivator who had lost so much that he said he wanted to exchange a treasure for origin crystals. Then he was hunted down. Could it be that he was targeted by that group of people at this time? Was he stopped by those people before he went to exchange his treasure for origin crystals? Then those people wanted to kill him and snatch his treasure? That was one possibility. But there was a second possibility, and that was that this young cultivator had more than one treasure. When he took out the first treasure to exchange for origin crystals, the second treasure was also exposed. And this second treasure was a precious treasure that was enough to cause a fatal disaster. If the second guess was true, then the group of people who surrounded and killed the young cultivator just now had two possible identities. The first identity, that group of people were also gamblers who used treasures to exchange for origin crystals. When they saw that the young cultivator had other treasures, they wanted to kill him. The second identity, they were from the casino. The people in the casino were all from the China Trading Company. They were the owners of this huge fleet. The people in the casino saw the second treasure. Perhaps the young cultivator was unwilling to exchange for it, or maybe it was because that treasure was too important and could not be leaked. Therefore, the young cultivator was ruthlessly killed. There were possibilities in every situation. Lin Feng couldn't help but take a deep breath. If it was the second situation, it would be disadvantageous for him. He looked at every corner of the private room, because now Lin Feng was worried that there might be a surveillance spiritual array in the private room. This kind of surveillance spiritual array could imprint everything that happened in the private room and then display it on a crystal screen densely covered with arrays. So, he had to be on guard. There really is a surveillance spiritual array. Lin Feng couldn't help but frown slightly. The surveillance spiritual array was in a corner and was very hidden. If one didn't look carefully, it would be difficult to find it. Such a large trading company generally wouldn't do such a thing, so Lin Feng didn't check it at first. However, if the second inference was true, then the actions of this trading company were actually very despicable. Since he could do such a despicable thing, what was so strange about him secretly setting up a supervisor array in the private room? Seeing this surveillance spiritual array, Lin Feng gradually believed in the second conjecture. Those who besieged the young cultivator were cultivators from the Divine Land Trading Company. At this moment, he was startled. This was because Lin Feng was worried that there might be a supervisor formation set up outside the casino. If that place was also set up with a surveillance spirit formation, then wouldn't the scene of the young cultivator stuffing the storage ring to him also be imprinted? If that was the case, then they had to leave quickly. Otherwise, if they continued to stay on the ship, only death would await them. He got up and left the private room. He went to the area outside the casino and checked it. Only then did he let out a sigh of relief. Perhaps it was because there were so many people coming and going here that the people from the Divine Land Trading Company were afraid. Therefore, he did not set up a surveillance spiritual array. Lin Feng heaved a sigh of relief. None of these businesses are anything good. The 9 States Alliance is like that, and so are the Divine Land's businesses. Lin Feng could not help but mutter in his heart, these big forces, they prioritized profits. For the sake of profits, they would do anything. Therefore, Lin Feng did not find it strange that the people from the Divine Land Trading Company had killed the young cultivator out of greed. He returned to his room and set up a psychedelic array to conceal the surveillance array set up in the private room by the Divine Land Trading Company. Then he took out the storage ring that the young cultivator had stuffed into his hand. There was nothing special about this storage ring. It was just an ordinary storage ring. When his spiritual force entered it, he found that the storage ring was not big. It was only about a dozen cubic meters in size and could not hold many things. There were some miscellaneous things in the storage ring that were basically worthless. Lin Feng's gaze was attracted by a golden brocade box. He took the golden brocade box out of the storage ring. There was a restriction on the brocade box that sealed it. This restriction had been set up not long ago. Lin Feng could not help but raise his eyebrows slightly. He opened the brocade box. Croak, 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 croak. It sounded like a frog or a toad. Swish. A white light flashed in front of him, and something jumped out. The white light wanted to rush out of the private room. Lin Feng hurriedly struck out with his dermic powers, wrapping around the white light that flew out. At this moment, he finally saw what it was. It was actually a white jade toad. The white jade toad stared at Lin Feng with its round eyes. It wanted to break free from the restraints of Lin Feng's dermic powers, but after a few attempts, it failed. It's really a creation of heaven and earth. Quickly use your blood to refine it. Let the white jade toad recognize you as its master. The Black Bear Devil King could not help but say excitedly. Lin Feng did not immediately use his blood to refine the white jade toad because he really did not know what this white jade toad was. He asked, "What's so special about this white jade toad?" Stones can absorb the spirit chi of heaven and earth and the essence of the sun and moon. They can transform into the stone race, and you should be very clear about the talent of the stone race. It can be said to be abnormally terrifying. The Black Bear Devil King said. Lin Feng nodded. Indeed, the stone race was simply too powerful. The great sage, heaven's equal, the sacred battle ape, the illustrious stone race. The stone apes, big and small, were existences that had once defied heaven and earth. The Black Bear Devil King continued, as for jades, they can also undergo transformations. You should have heard of a saying before, jades are spiritual. It means that many jades are spiritual. Lin Feng nodded. There was indeed a saying that jades were spiritual. When he was young, he had seen some of the elders in his family wearing blood-red jades all year round. According to the elders, jades needed to be nourished by the body. Some of the best jades could even absorb some of the tainted blood in their owners' bodies. Those jades that had turned blood red were the result of absorbing the tainted blood in their owners' bodies. The Black Bear Devil King continued, jades are actually made of stone. If stones are compared to humans, then ordinary stones are equivalent to ordinary people without cultivation. Some stones that have absorbed the essence of the sun and moon, as well as the energy of heaven and earth, are cultivators. As for jades, they are cultivators with special bloodlines. This explanation was easy to understand, and Lin Feng easily understood what the Black Bear Devil King was trying to say. The Black Bear Devil King continued, the white jade toad is formed from the psychic white jade. It also belongs to the stone race, but its talent is much stronger than ordinary stone race members. Chapter 1844. Lin Feng did not expect the white jade toad to have such an extraordinary origin. He was extremely shocked. Did this mean that the white jade toad's future growth would far exceed that of the ordinary stone race? But Lin Feng didn't understand what was going on. For example, since the white jade toad's talent was so shocking, why didn't this white jade toad have any cultivation? He then asked, why is this white jade toad so weak? The Black Bear Sage said, the white jade toad is rather special. It will go through 9 evolutions. Every time it evolves, its strength will increase greatly. However, this white jade toad has clearly not undergone its first evolution. So that's how it is. Lin Feng nodded and asked, "What abilities does the white jade toad have?" The black bear sage said, "Back when I was following Lord Chonglu Demon Emperor, I once saw another Demon Emperor raise a white jade toad. That white jade toad had just completed its first evolution. That white jade toad can neutralize all kinds of poisons." Lin Feng frowned. "Neutralize poisons? Isn't this ability of little value?" "No, this ability is actually very terrifying. You have yet to come into contact with truly terrifying poisons. You must know that some poisons can even kill great emperors. I remember seeing a poison called the 7 Steps Life Potion. It is said that once a great emperor came into contact with this poison, he would immediately die after taking 7 steps. In the future, you might come into contact with some of the most powerful poisons. These poisons are often colorless and odorless, and they kill without leaving a trace. They are extremely terrifying, and once poisoned, death is almost certain. However, with the white jade toad, it is different. The white jade toad can absorb these poisons, and after absorbing them, it can continue to evolve. Other than being able to absorb these poisons, the white jade toad can also detect all kinds of poisons in advance. If someone were to plot against you, it would be very difficult for you to detect some of the most powerful poisons. However, the white jade toad can detect them. The black bear sage said. Lin Feng was very surprised. He had not expected the white jade toad's first evolution to be so powerful. This made him very happy. He continued to ask, "It should be very difficult for this white jade toad to evolve, right?" The black bear sage nodded and said, "It is indeed very difficult, but this little thing can cultivate on its own, and its cultivation will continue to rise. However, it can be fed with all sorts of heavenly treasures. This way, its growth will be even faster. The first 3 evolutions should be relatively easier, but the further it evolves, the more difficult it will be. Besides providing various heavenly materials and earthly treasures to the white jade toad, it can also provide various kinds of deadly poisons. After absorbing these deadly poisons, the white jade toad will evolve faster. Heavenly materials and earthly treasures are not as effective as deadly poisons on the white jade toad. However, some of the top deadly poisons are hard to buy on the market. Those deadly poisons are usually controlled by the top forces and won't be leaked out easily." Lin Feng rubbed his chin and said, "You can go to those trading companies and auction houses. Maybe you can buy it at a high price." He forced out a drop of blood and dripped it into the white jade toad's mouth. The white jade toad directly swallowed Lin Feng's blood. Suddenly, Lin Feng felt a very close connection between him and the white jade toad. Gua gua gua. The white jade toad immediately jumped up and landed on Lin Feng's palm, transmitting an extremely close emotion fluctuation to Lin Feng. The black bear devil king said, "The white jade toad will become stronger the further it evolves. As for what kind of powerful abilities it will awaken in the future, I am not sure either." Lin Feng nodded and sent the white jade toad into his mountain river ring. In these few years, Lin Feng had killed many strong enemies, including many evil demon experts. After obtaining those people's storage rings, Yi Zichen was shocked. He also discovered a lot of deadly poisons. Now, Lin Feng took out all of these deadly poisons and fed them to the white jade toad. He placed the deadly poison in a porcelain trough that was over 20 cubic meters in size. For the white jade toad, the deadly poison was its food. Therefore, after smelling the scent of the deadly poison, the white jade toad was extremely excited. It directly jumped into the porcelain trough that contained all kinds of deadly poisons and began to absorb them. So much deadly poison was actually being devoured by the white jade toad at a visible speed. This made Lin Feng extremely astonished. The white jade toad's speed of devouring deadly poison was simply too fast. Lin Feng retracted his divine perception. In the next few days, he did not come out of seclusion. About 7 or 8 days later, Lin Feng discovered that there were people conducting a sudden inspection of every private room. These people were from the Divine Land Trading Company. Their actions caused many people to be dissatisfied. However, the Divine Land Trading Company said that someone had ambushed and killed a higher-up of the Divine Land Trading Company, while the cultivators of the Divine Land Trading Company were chasing after that assassin. That assassin suddenly and mysteriously disappeared. The Divine Land Trading Company suspected that the assassin had an accomplice. It was the assassin's accomplice who had hidden the assassin. The passengers were helpless when the Divine Land Trading Company wanted to investigate the assassin. They could only open the private room for the Divine Land Trading Company's people to inspect. The Black Bear Devil King said, "These people are obviously looking for the person who obtained that young cultivator's ring." Lin Feng nodded. These people were actually looking for him. When he thought about how there were no surveillance spirit arrays around the casino, Lin Feng felt slightly relieved. Not long after, someone knocked on Lin Feng's door. He opened the door and saw more than 10 cultivators of the Divine Land Trading Company standing outside. The cultivation level of the cultivator in the lead was extremely tyrannical. Lin Feng felt that this person's cultivation level was probably already half a step into the heavenly god realm. "Where did you go 8 days ago? Who did you meet? What did you talk about?" The cultivator narrowed his eyes and looked at Lin Feng. "I went to the casino and stayed for a while before coming out. Then I returned to my residence. After that, I didn't go out." Lin Feng said, "You still haven't said who you were in contact with and what you talked about." The person said coldly. Lin Feng said indifferently, "I didn't meet anyone, nor did I talk about anything." The cultivator sneered and said, "You'd better tell the truth. Otherwise, don't blame the Divine Land Trading Company for being impolite to you." "Impolite to me? What a joke. I'd like to see how you're going to be impolite to me. Is this how the Divine Land Trading Company operates?" Lin Feng sneered. "Brat, who do you think you are to dare question the Divine Land Trading Company?" The cultivator looked at Lin Feng indifferently, a trace of killing intent in his eyes. "Hong Zheng, calm down. This little brother is young and impetuous. You don't have to be calculative with him." A woman walked over and said aloud. This woman looked to be about 30 years old. She was tall and voluptuous, and her face was exquisite and beautiful. Her pair of alluring red phoenix eyes were like 2 pools of spring water, and her eyes were like silk. She had a mature and charming temperament. She could definitely be called a rare beauty. Chapter 1845. Humph. The cultivator, named Hong Zheng, couldn't help but groan coldly. He glanced at Lin Feng coldly and left. The rest of the people followed him to the next private room. "Little brother, I'm really sorry for what happened just now. Hong Zheng is a hot-tempered person, but he doesn't have a bad heart. He was rude today because he was too eager to catch that assassin." The woman said aloud. Her voice was gentle and seductive. Lin Feng smiled and cupped his fists. "I'm a magnanimous person and won't stoop to his level." Hong Zheng, who had already walked more than 10 meters away, heard Lin Feng's words, and the corner of his mouth twitched violently. Even the beautiful woman was slightly taken aback. She had thought that this matter would be left unsettled in the end. Who would have thought that Lin Feng would say such words? The beautiful woman quickly came back to her senses and couldn't help but smile bitterly. She exchanged a few words with Lin Feng and left. Lin Feng returned to the box and couldn't help but frown. If the people of the Divine Land Trading Company continued to investigate, It was inevitable that they would find some clues. Therefore, Lin Feng left the box and went outside to check. If he encountered any special situation, Lin Feng planned to escape immediately. However, when Lin Feng came to the deck, he found that the restriction of the giant ship had been activated. Unless he broke the formation by force, he couldn't get out at all. The restriction of the giant ship was very powerful, and it would take a certain amount of time to break the formation. Breaking the formation by force would definitely alarm the Divine Land Trading Company's Divine Land experts. Such a huge fleet, so many experts, and a heavenly god expert overseeing it. Once trapped, it would definitely be a situation of 9 deaths. No matter how strong a person was, there was no way he could fight against a huge fleet. Moreover, there were many powerful cultivators on the fleet. As the saying went, ants could bite an elephant to death. Moreover, there were so many cultivators gathered together. The combat power that could erupt was naturally unimaginable. Lin Feng decided to wait and see for the time being, because there was no evidence that the people of the Divine Land Trading Company were targeting him. Therefore, there was no need to panic. In the few days after he returned to the private room, he did not go out. The people of the Divine Prefecture Trading Company were still investigating the possible suspects. Main control room. There was a huge crystal screen in the control room. Many different scenes were being played on these crystal screens. A tall, middle-aged man was sitting on the sofa and sipping tea. Hong Zheng stayed by the man's side. The middle-aged man's name was Hong Tianqi. He was a heavenly god realm powerhouse from the Divine Prefecture Trading Company. He was also Hong Zheng's uncle. His cultivation base. Unfathomable. How's the investigation going? Hong Tianqi asked. No results. Hong Zheng shook his head. The person who entered the casino that day must have obtained that treasure. Hong Tianqi said in a deep voice. This was because the origin crystals were exchanged in the innermost exchange room of the casino. And if that cultivator wanted to escape, he would definitely pass by the casino. That was why Hong Tianqi made such a judgment. What a pity. We didn't set up any surveillance spirit arrays in or around the casino, so we couldn't find out what happened. Hong Zheng said with a gloomy expression. Hong Tianqi said, the casino and the brothel are all on the 32nd floor. I've already ordered people to look back at the scenes recorded by the restriction spirit arrays on the 32nd floor. When we find these people, we'll investigate them one by one. Well, although it will waste a lot of time, it's not a bad idea. Hong Zheng nodded. What's going on? Didn't they just investigate a few days ago? Why are they investigating again? Lin Feng heard the quarrel outside. He opened the door of the private room and looked out. He found that the people of the Divine Prefecture Trading Company were investigating the fake assassin again. He could not help but frown slightly. He returned to the room and sat down to ponder. He felt that things were going in a bad direction. The cultivators of the Divine Prefecture Trading Company should have noticed some clues. Not long after, the people of the Divine Prefecture Trading Company knocked on Lin Feng's door again and asked the same questions as last time. However, Lin Feng still found the main point of these people's questions. They wanted to know who he was with and what people could prove it. Obviously, this question could not fool the people of the Divine Prefecture Trading Company, so Lin Feng gave the same answer as last time. After asking the questions, the people of the Divine Prefecture Trading Company left. There are more than 70 people in total who went to the 32nd floor alone. Hong Zheng said, let Chung Yoli test these people. Hong Tianqi said, Uncle, how can we do that? Hong Zheng's expression changed slightly. Hong Zheng had just hooked up with Chung Yuli, a top-grade beauty, and he had not enjoyed her yet. Naturally, he did not want Chung Yuli to do this. Hong Tianqi said in a low voice, Chung Yuli is good at charm techniques, so she's the most suitable for this. Moreover, she just used charm techniques to charm those people and investigate the situation at that time. Nothing really happened between them, so you don't have to worry so much. Hong Zheng nodded with a gloomy expression. You will personally arrange this matter, Hong Tianqi said. Yes, Hong Zheng responded and walked outside. Check the images imprinted by the surveillance spiritual array in these 72 people's rooms. Hong Tianqi ordered. Yes, sir. The cultivator sitting in front of the crystal screen answered and began to bring up the surveillance images in each room. He checked them one by one. He wanted to see if he could find any clues. Lin Feng looked at the concealed surveillance spiritual array in the room and could not help but frown slightly. It seems that there are still some flaws here, but they can't be sure that it's based on this flaw alone. Lin Feng thought to himself. He was quite disdainful of the Divine Prefecture Trading Company. One should know that cultivators preferred freedom, and many cultivators had their own secrets. Naturally, he hated things like surveillance spiritual arrays. Therefore, the fleets of the major trading companies were not allowed to set up surveillance spiritual arrays. Even in some public areas, they were also not allowed to set up surveillance spiritual arrays. But the Divine Prefecture Trading Company secretly set up surveillance spiritual arrays. However, the surveillance spiritual arrays set up by the Divine Prefecture Trading Company were very special, and Lin Feng had a hard time discovering them. As for the other cultivators, it was even harder to discover them. Perhaps this was why the Divine Prefecture Trading Company dared to set up surveillance spiritual arrays. Lin Feng directly destroyed the surveillance spiritual array in the room. He hoped that the people of the Divine Prefecture Trading Company would think that he destroyed the surveillance spiritual array in the room. That was why they did not imprint the images in the room. Of course, Lin Feng did not know whether the people of the Divine Prefecture Trading Company would think so. This was just his hope. Now Lin Feng had begun to plan how to leave this ancient ship. The next day, there was a knock on the door. Lin Feng opened the door and saw the extremely beautiful woman he had seen a few days before. She was standing outside. Chapter 1846. Lin Feng had a faint smile on his face as he said, "Is there something you need from me, Fairy?" "Fairy?" The woman was stunned for a moment before she giggled. "You sure know how to talk, little brother. I have some things that I would like to ask little brother about. Would it be possible for us to enter the room and talk about it?" He had no idea what this woman was up to, but since she wanted to talk about it, he would agree. Lin Feng naturally didn't mind talking to her and seeing what she was up to, said Lin Feng, smiling. "It's an honor for you to come here and ask me about something. Please come in and have a chat." Lin Feng opened the door and invited the woman into the room. He then closed the door behind him. In the main control room, through the surveillance formation in the corridor, the scene of Lin Feng talking to the woman appeared on a crystal screen. Hong Zheng's eyes flashed coldly when he saw Lin Feng. He naturally remembered Lin Feng. Moreover, he had once wanted to kill Lin Feng. "Have you replayed the recording in that kid's room?" Hong Zheng asked in a deep voice. The guard captain in charge of replaying the recording said, "Reporting to young master, because we have to rewatch the recordings in the 72 rooms. The task is quite heavy, so we haven't had the time to rewatch the recording in that kid's room." "There's no need for now. Switch the crystal screen to his room," Hong Zheng said. There were a total of 36 crystal screens, and they could be switched at will through the formation. Shwa. With a flash of light, all 36 crystal screens were switched to Lin Feng's room. However, the crystal screens turned white, and nothing could be seen. "Uncle, what do you think is going on? Could it be that the brat discovered the surveillance formation?" Looking at the white crystal screen, Hong Zheng's expression changed abruptly. Hong Tianqi frowned slightly and asked, "You've interacted with that kid before. What's his cultivation level?" That kid deliberately hid his cultivation level, so it's very difficult for me to determine it. However, I can vaguely sense that his cultivation level isn't very high. It seems to be the Godfire realm. Hong Zheng said, "Since you can't sense his cultivation level, why do you think so?" Hong Tianqi frowned slightly. Hong Zheng said, "Uncle, my cultivation technique is the divine heaven burning art. Thus, my ability to sense fire is something that others cannot compare with. Although that brat hid his boundary, I could faintly feel the existence of a divine flame within his body. This means that he is at least a divine flame realm cultivator, and his divine flame doesn't contain the aura of true divinity laws. This means that he didn't break through into the true deity realm. So I determined that his cultivation is at the divine flame realm." The transformation of a divine flame realm cultivator also began from their own divine flame. He had comprehended the concept of true divinity and integrated it into his own laws. He used the divine fire to envelop the laws and temper his own divine fire laws. Under the refinement of the divine fire laws in his body would transform into true God laws. This was the symbol of breaking through from the divine flame realm to the true God realm. Due to the transformation of a true God's law, it was formed by the refinement of a cultivator's God flame. Therefore, a cultivator's divine fire would be imprinted with the aura of a true God's law. Of course, ordinary people would not be able to sense this because of the uniqueness of Hong Zheng's cultivation technique. Only then did he sense Lin Feng's divine fire. At the same time, he also sensed that Lin Feng's divine fire did not contain the aura of a true God's law. This meant that Lin Feng was not a true divinity realm cultivator. He's not even a true divinity realm cultivator. It seems that my worries were unnecessary, Hong Tianqi said. Hong Zheng's heart skipped a beat. "Uncle, you were originally worried that the brat discovered the surveillance spiritual formation and then destroyed it." Hong Tianqi nodded and said, "Now it seems that there might be some problems with the surveillance spiritual formation itself." "Then what do we do now?" Hong Zheng asked. "That brat's boundary isn't high. Isn't it easy for Cheng Yoli to deal with him? The result will be out soon. We just have to wait for a while," Hong Tianqi said. Hong Zheng nodded. In the private room, Lin Feng and the beautiful woman sat on the sofa. Then Lin Feng brewed a cup of spirit tea for the beautiful woman. The beautiful woman took a sip elegantly. Then he said with a smile, "This spiritual tea tastes pretty good. Little brother, you really know how to enjoy it." Lin Feng smiled and said, "Originally, I didn't like drinking tea, but sometimes when I think about things, I drink some spirit tea to clear my mind." The woman smiled. "This is the first time I've heard of such a thing. How should I address you, little brother?" Lin Feng, a disciple of the reincarnation immortal sect. Lin Feng said with a faint smile. There was no need for him to hide his identity. The reincarnation immortal sect was one of the most powerful forces in the 9 states. The Divine Land Trading Company was nothing compared to the reincarnation immortal sect. The beautiful woman was shocked when she heard that Lin Feng was a disciple of the reincarnation celestial sect. He didn't expect Lin Feng to have such a huge force behind him. Although the reincarnation immortal sect's sphere of influence was in the northern barbarian state, however, such a colossus had as many experts as there were clouds in the sky. In fact, they had an intricate network of relationships and enormous connections in the entire 9 prefectures. This was something that the beautiful woman was extremely clear about. "I'm a disciple of the reincarnation immortal sect. I apologize for my rudeness." The beautiful woman stood up and bowed slightly. Fairy, you're too courteous. I haven't asked how I should address you. Lin Feng asked the beautiful woman. Chengyoli. The beautiful woman smiled charmingly and walked towards Lin Feng. Then she sat down beside Lin Feng. Her slender, jade-like hand gently brushed the black hair that fell down her face. Her action was extremely seductive. The beautiful woman sat beside Lin Feng. Lin Feng could even smell her alluring fragrance. Lin Gongzi, am I beautiful? The beautiful woman's voice was very soft and seductive. Of course you're as beautiful as a fairy. Lin Feng said with a smile. Lin Gongzi, you really know how to talk. The beautiful woman said with a charming smile. Her every move was filled with a soul-stirring charm. Her eyes were watery as she looked at Lin Feng. She bit her red lips and said, Young master, if you think I'm beautiful, are you willing to do something for me? Lin Feng looked into the beautiful woman's eyes. His gaze gradually became blurry. When she saw this, the beautiful woman's lips curled into a smug smile. Her charm arts could be used silently. Perhaps a slight movement or a glance could be used to cast her charm arts. Moreover, her opponent would be charmed without even knowing what was going on. The charm technique used by the beautiful woman had almost never failed. She was even more confident when facing Lin Feng. This was because a young cultivator like Lin Feng would have less self-control when facing a beautiful woman. His vigilance would also be inferior to those experienced cultivators. Therefore, it was easy for her to use her charm arts to charm a young cultivator like Lin Feng. I have something to ask you. Lin Gongzi, you must answer honestly. The beautiful woman said with a smile. Lin Feng nodded mechanically. It was as if he had really fallen for the beautiful woman's charm arts and was completely under her control. Chapter 1847. The beautiful woman was very satisfied with Lin Feng's performance. This was within her expectations. She asked, You came to the Returning Ruins region. Are you here to enter the Returning Ruins battlefield? Yes. Lin Feng nodded. Why can't I sense your cultivation base? What's your strength? The beautiful woman asked. I'm at the Divine Fire Realm. My cultivation technique is special. It allows me to conceal my cultivation base. Lin Feng said. When the beautiful woman heard that Lin Feng was only a Divine Fire Realm cultivator, a look of disdain appeared on her face. He had never joined the 10 great celestial sects. However, he had heard of them. Divine Fire Realm cultivators were considered ordinary disciples in the 10 great celestial sects. A few days ago, did you obtain anything special? The woman decided to get straight to the point and ask Lin Feng what he wanted to know. She didn't ask about the white jade toad directly because she didn't know what to look for. The white jade toad was very important. The news had been sealed. I did. Lin Feng said. The beautiful woman's eyes lit up. She asked, What did you get? Hurry up and give it to me. Lin Feng took out a book. Then he handed it to the beautiful woman. The beautiful woman opened the book and read its contents. Her face flushed red. She gritted her teeth and said, I don't want such a filthy book. Is there anything else? Nothing else. Lin Feng said. You really don't have anything else? The beautiful woman frowned. She felt that something was wrong with Lin Feng, but she couldn't tell what it was. Lin Feng said, I really don't have anything else. Take out the most precious treasures in your storage ring and let me have a look. The beautiful woman smiled charmingly. A disciple of the Reincarnation Immortal sect. He had an extraordinary background. He must have a lot of treasures on him. She could steal his treasures. He might not even realize it. By the time he did, it would be too late. Even if he did, it wouldn't be a big deal. Did he have any witnesses or evidence? I don't have any treasures. They're all worthless, Lin Feng said. Worthless things. How could this be? As a disciple of the reincarnation immortal sect, how could you not have any treasures? I can see for myself whether you are lying or not, the beautiful woman said, and was about to take off Lin Feng's storage ring. Who would have thought that Lin Feng, who was originally bewitched by the charm technique, would take the initiative to stand up and directly push the beautiful woman down? The beautiful woman immediately panicked. Obviously, she didn't expect this to happen. Wasn't this guy bewitched by her charm technique? Why did this guy suddenly wake up? The beautiful woman was also a smart person. After a brief moment of panic, she quickly regained her senses. She shrieked, "Were you toying with me?" Lin Feng said faintly, "Now you realize that I'm playing with you. You're too stupid. It's you. That person is you, right? The treasure has been taken by you." The beautiful woman shouted. "What treasure? I don't know what you're talking about." Lin Feng naturally wouldn't admit it. The beautiful woman began to struggle. She had the cultivation of the true God realm. So she thought that it would not be easy to deal with Lin Feng. However, she quickly realized that she didn't even have the strength to struggle in front of Lin Feng. This man in front of her, he had already sealed her magic power without making a sound. At that moment, the woman realized that she had underestimated Lin Feng. The beautiful woman said coldly, "This is the Divine Land Trading Company's spaceship. You'd better let me go quickly. Otherwise, you should know the consequences." Consequences? What consequences can there be? Do you think that those people can see what's happening in the room? Let me tell you, I've already destroyed the surveillance spiritual array. They can't see what's happening in the room. Lin Feng sneered. The beautiful woman's expression changed abruptly. She said in disbelief, "You actually discovered the surveillance spiritual array?" "Yes. Is it strange? I wonder if the news of the Divine Land Trading Company secretly setting up surveillance spiritual arrays on the spaceship and even in the private rooms spread. Will it cause public anger? When that happens, the Divine Land Trading Company will probably collapse, right?" Lin Feng said with a sneer. "Doing this won't do you any good," said the beautiful woman. "Perhaps we can choose another way to solve this problem." "Oh, another solution?" Lin Feng looked at the beautiful woman with a faint smile and asked, "What's your status in the Divine Land Trading Company?" "The Grand Elder of the Divine Land Trading Company is my master," said the beautiful woman. "No wonder you're protecting the Divine Land Trading Company. How about we make a deal?" Lin Feng's right hand gently caressed the beautiful woman's delicate face. "What deal?" asked the beautiful woman. "I think you must have a way to quickly activate the restrictions on the ancient ship, right? I want to leave the ancient ship, and you help me activate it. This is the deal between us," said Lin Feng. The beautiful woman sneered. "You're in such a hurry to leave the ancient ship? You still dare to say that the treasure isn't with you?" Lin Feng said, "We're not talking about the treasure, but whether or not you'll activate the ancient ship's restrictions." "Why should I agree to that?" The beautiful woman said coldly, "Hong Zheng and the others know that I've entered your room. If they see that I'm not leaving, they'll come in very soon. At that time, you won't be able to escape, even if you have wings." Lin Feng said with a smile, "I forgot to tell you that I'm an extremely powerful spiritual array master. I don't think it'll be a problem for me to temporarily seal the room. Hong Zhang and the others won't be able to enter. Will they think that you've taken a fancy to me and want to sleep with me in the room? You're shameless." The beautiful woman bit her red lips and shouted, "A man and a woman alone in a room can do a lot of things. My patience is limited. If you agree, you'll have to swear an oath." If you don't, since I can't escape, I don't mind having some fun before I die. Lin Feng said with a smile as he slowly moved his head closer to the beautiful woman. The two of them were only a few centimeters apart. The beautiful woman's face turned red. She wanted to push Lin Feng away, but she felt powerless. In the main control room, Yuli has been in there for an hour. Why hasn't she come out yet? Could something have happened to her? Hong Zheng's expression was gloomy. You're going to do great things in the future. How can you be so impatient? Hong Tianqi said in a low voice. He then continued, moreover, she's just a woman. As long as we can get the answer we want, a woman is nothing. We can get as many as we want. Hong Zheng nodded with a gloomy expression and waited for another hour. Cheng Yoli still hadn't come out of Lin Feng's room. It was easy to guess what had happened between a man and a woman after such a long time. Hong Zheng quickly walked towards Lin Feng's room. Bitch, I want to touch your hand, but you won't even let me. How many times have you met that brat? You're actually hooking up with him now. Hong Zheng's heart burned with jealousy. His face was filled with killing intent. The dozen guards behind Hong Zheng didn't dare to say anything. They didn't dare to provoke Hong Zheng at this time. Chapter 1848. Bang, bang, bang. Violent knocks could be heard from outside. Hong Zheng knocked on the door of Lin Feng's room with all his might, but there was no response. Brat, get out here. Hong Zheng roared angrily. However, no matter how much he shouted, there was still no response from inside. Smash the door, Hong Zheng said exasperatedly. Immediately, a few guards walked up and began to smash the door. However, no matter how hard they smashed it, it wouldn't open. Sir, it's sealed inside. We can't break it open. The guards said, Chunyoli, you bitch, get out here. Hong Zheng had completely lost his calm and began to curse loudly. Many people were alarmed and came out to watch. What's going on? Someone asked. I saw that woman, Chung Yoli, enter that room. More than 2 hours have passed, and she hasn't come out yet. Hee, can you imagine what happened inside? Immediately, someone said gloatingly, I see. No wonder Hong Zheng is so angry. I heard that Hong Zheng has been chasing after Chung Yoli, and he hasn't even touched her yet. It would be strange if he didn't go crazy. Another cultivator said. The others were also happy to watch the show. In the room, Lin Feng was sitting on the sofa, sipping on his spirit tea. The beautiful woman was sitting on the other side. She said angrily, Since we've already reached an agreement, why don't you let me out quickly? Lin Feng smiled and said, Create chaos. That way, it'll be easier for you to succeed. He pointed outside. Listen, isn't it a complete mess outside? Chungyuli, you bitch. You act so noble in front of me, but it turns out that you're also a whore. Hurry up and get out here. I'm going to kill you too. Hong Zheng cursed loudly in exasperation. Hearing Hong Zheng's curses, the beautiful woman was so angry that her face turned ashen. Lin Feng said calmly, You're working for him, risking your life for him. Even if something really happened, he should be the one feeling guilty. He shouldn't be cursing and insulting you so recklessly. I've helped you see through this person's character. This kind of person should be avoided as soon as possible. In the end, the one who will be hurt is still yourself. The woman coldly said, Then should I thank you? Lin Feng said with a smile, If you really want to thank me, why don't you follow me and become my woman? I will take good care of you. Humph! The beautiful woman could not help but snort. Lin Feng smiled and said, Are you implying that you want to be my woman? The beautiful woman said, Tacit agreement, my ass. I am disdainful. Even if all the men were dead, I wouldn't be with you. After saying that, he got up and walked outside. The beautiful woman said, "Open the seal." Lin Feng removed the restriction on the room. The beautiful woman then opened the door. "Hong Zheng, don't you find it embarrassing to be shouting outside? Even if you don't find it embarrassing, I find it embarrassing." The beautiful woman glared at Hong Zheng coldly. "You slut, how dare you say that I'm embarrassing? You've been in the room with that brat for more than 2 hours. What were you doing?" Hong Zheng roared furiously. "We were discussing something. What do you think we were doing?" The beautiful woman said angrily. "Discussing something for more than 2 hours? Who are you trying to fool?" Hong Zheng said coldly. He obviously did not believe Cheng Yoli's words. "The innocent knows the innocent. I don't need to explain anything to you. Besides, there's nothing between the two of us. There's also no need to explain anything to you," the beautiful woman said coldly. "Slut, you've found yourself a pretty boy, and you're in such a hurry to cut off all ties with me?" Hong Zheng cursed loudly. Lin Feng walked out and said indifferently, "I don't care what you say about me, but don't humiliate a minor accomplishment cultivator in front of so many people. Is this the magnanimity a man should have?" Minor accomplishment cultivator. Hearing how Lin Feng addressed Cheng Yoli, many onlookers looked at each other in dismay. He addressed her so intimately. There was nothing between them. Cheng Yoli could not help but roll her eyes at Lin Feng. However, in the eyes of others, the two of them were clearly flirting with each other. Seeing how Lin Feng and Cheng Yoli were flirting in front of him, he was furious. He was about to explode from anger. How could he tolerate it? He could not help but roar, "Little bastard, I'm going to kill you." Hong Zheng raised his right hand and was about to slap Lin Feng. The beautiful woman said coldly, "Hong Zheng, don't go too far. This is the ship of the Shenzhou Trading Company, not your private place. If you continue to cause trouble here, I don't mind reporting your actions to the higher-ups. At that time, even your uncle won't be able to protect you." "Slut, are you threatening me? Your master is only the grand elder of the Shenzhou Trading Company, not the president. What right do you have to be so arrogant in front of me?" Hong Zheng immediately cursed. "Shut up." Suddenly, a cold voice was heard. Then a man condensed into light and shadow appeared. This man was Hong Tianqi. Lord, after seeing Hong Tianqi, everyone saluted him. "Are you arguing here? What a scandal! Come and see me quickly," Hong Tianqi said in a deep voice. Then he disappeared. "Little bastard, just you wait. I won't let you go. I'll crush you like a bug." Hong Zheng looked at Lin Feng with resentment. Then he left. The beautiful woman did not stay and left quickly. The people around him were still discussing animatedly. Such a farce. Naturally, it would become the focus of discussion. "Brother, you're awesome. I've long disliked that grandson Hong Zheng. You've slept with a woman that Hong Zheng hasn't even touched. I'm impressed. However, Hong Zheng is a narrow-minded person. You have to be careful." A burly cultivator reminded him. "Haha, thanks for the reminder. Hong Zheng is just a clown. He can't cause any trouble," Lin Feng said with a smile. Then he returned to his private room. This guy is really not afraid of making a big deal out of it. He slept with Hong Zheng's woman and said that Hong Zheng is a clown. This is interesting. It seems that Hong Zheng and Cheng Yoli have completely fallen out. I wonder how this will end. Hong Zheng won't let this go. This ancient ship belongs to the Shenzhou Trading Company. When the time comes, that guy will not have a good ending. That's hard to say. If Cheng Yoli protects him, nothing will happen. Let's wait and see. Many people were discussing. This matter quickly spread throughout the ancient ship. For a moment, tens of thousands of people on the ancient ship were discussing this matter in private. Many people admired Lin Feng, who they had never met before. This guy is really awesome. He slept with Hong Zheng's woman, openly. There would be a good show to watch. Chapter 1849. Lin Feng did not know what Hong Tianqi had said to Hong Zheng and Cheng Yuli, but Lin Feng was very clear about one thing. He and Hong Zheng would not rest until one of them was dead. Hong Zheng would not let him go. Lin Feng also hated Hong Zheng very much. When Hong Zheng first asked Lin Feng questions, his arrogant attitude had caused Lin Feng to feel disgusted. Now, Lin Feng had to wait. He did not stay in the room, but went to the top floor. There were all kinds of restaurants on the top floor. Many cultivators would come here to enjoy the delicious food. This place was a mix of good and bad people. Moreover, the door was the ancient ship's restriction formation. If Cheng Yuli could break the restriction formation, Lin Feng could rush out of the restriction formation as soon as possible. At night, Lin Feng stood on the deck and looked into the distance. From time to time, he could see some powerful sea demons following behind the fleet. They looked at him with cold eyes, full of awe and ferocity. A group of more than 20 people rushed over and surrounded Lin Feng. The person in the lead was Hong Zheng. That guy is the one who slept with Cheng Yuli. It seems that Hong Zheng is going to make a move. No matter what, that guy is a guest of the Divine Land Trading Company. Hong Zheng dared to make a move on a guest. After this matter, if the Divine Land Trading Company does not punish Hong Zheng severely, I'm afraid that its reputation will be completely ruined. Yes, Hong Zheng must be severely punished. Otherwise, who would dare to board the ship of the Divine Land Trading Company in the future? Who would dare to do business with the Divine Land Trading Company? Many people saw the movement here and stood in the distance, pointing at them. Lin Feng looked at Hong Zheng indifferently and said, "What? Do you want to make a move on me? Boy, you were the one who got the storage ring that day, right? We've already investigated the rest of the people, and there's nothing wrong with them. But you're the most suspicious." Hong Zheng lowered his voice and said in a gloomy tone, Hong Tianqi and Hong Zheng were not stupid. After such a long time, Lin Feng did not find it strange that they suspected him. So what if it's me? So what if it's not me? You killed people and stole their treasures. Was this the style of the Divine Land Trading Company? Or are you and your nephew acting on your own accord? I heard from Cheng Yuli that even she doesn't know what you're looking for. Looks like you and your nephew have gotten greedy. If word of this spreads, even the Shenzhou Trading Company won't be able to tolerate you. Lin Feng sneered. Don't worry, this matter will definitely not spread out. When Hong Zheng saw that Lin Feng had already admitted to it, he immediately revealed an evil grin. He suddenly shouted at the surrounding cultivators who were watching the show, "Everyone! After the open and secret investigation of our Divine Prefecture Trading Company, we've already confirmed that the assassin that killed one of the higher-ups of our Divine Prefecture Trading Company that day was him. Today, our Divine Prefecture Trading Company will capture him and interrogate him strictly to find out his accomplices. When the time comes, we'll catch all of them in one fell swoop and avenge the death of our Divine Prefecture Trading Company's higher-up." Many people naturally didn't believe Hong Zheng's words. In everyone's view, Hong Zheng was looking for an excuse to get rid of Lin Feng. However, the surrounding cultivators didn't say anything. Many times, trouble comes from careless talk. They naturally understood this logic. Therefore, at this time, staying silent was the best solution. Crack! Crack! Suddenly, Lin Feng heard the almost imperceptible cracking sound coming from the formation behind him. His eyes lit up slightly. Cheng Yuli had made a move. "Ha ha ha! Hong Zheng, a piece of trash like you wants to capture me? You're dreaming." Lin Feng suddenly laughed out loud. "Kid, you're about to die, yet you still dare to boast shamelessly." Hong Zheng's eyes flashed with a sinister expression. He waved his hand and shouted sternly, "Capture him!" Yes, more than 20 guards charged at Lin Feng. Bang, bang, bang. Lin Feng punched the restriction behind him one after another. Many people were puzzled when they saw this scene. What was that kid doing? Could it be that he wanted to break the restriction on the ancient ship? Wasn't that just a daydream? Idiot! Hong Zheng scolded Lin Feng mockingly. In his opinion, it was impossible for Lin Feng to break the restriction on the ancient ship. What he was doing now was useless. It was just a final struggle. The formation cracking technique condensed into the power of the formation cracking technique and wrapped around Lin Feng's fist. 9 consecutive punches landed on the restriction on the ancient ship. Bang! Finally, Lin Feng and Cheng Yuli worked together to create a huge gap in the restriction on the ancient ship. Lin Feng quickly rushed out of the gap. How is this possible? Hong Zheng shouted in disbelief. He knew how powerful the restriction on the ancient ship was. However, Lin Feng had broken it so easily. This was hard for him to accept. Chase after him and kill him. Hong Zheng roared angrily and was the first to rush out. Immediately after, more than 20 experts from the Divine Land Trading Company also rushed out of the gap. However, as soon as they went out, Lin Feng had already released a 4-colored fireball. When he rushed out, he had already begun to use the burning wrath of heavens. When Hong Zheng and the others rushed out, Lin Feng's burning wrath of heavens had already finished brewing and condensed the 4-colored fireball. These people had yet to react. The 4-colored fireball had already flown to their side and exploded. Bang! Along with the earth-shattering sound of the violent explosion, there was a loud bang. Broken limbs flew in all directions. The ancient ship was shaken by the aftershock of the energy. If it wasn't for the protection of the restriction, the ancient ship would have been destroyed. More than 20 people rushed out. Only Hong Zheng survived. The others were all killed by the explosion. However, one of Hong Zheng's arms was also blown off and was dripping with blood. He kept coughing up blood. Obviously, he had suffered serious internal injuries. How could this be? Aren't you in the divine fire realm? How could you release such a terrifying attack? Hong Zheng looked at Lin Feng in disbelief and roared loudly. He turned around and wanted to escape back into the ancient ship. Go to hell! Lin Feng didn't give Hong Zheng the opportunity to react. He smiled coldly and appeared in front of Hong Zheng like a flash of lightning. He threw a punch at Hong Zheng. Facing Lin Feng's attack, Hong Zheng, who was seriously injured, couldn't resist at all. Little bastard, let's see if you dare. A furious roar came from the ancient ship. Immediately after, a pressure that seemed capable of destroying the heavens appeared. It spread out. Hong Tianqi, a heavenly god, had already noticed the situation outside and was rushing out of the ancient ship. Ha 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 ha, why wouldn't I dare? Lin Feng laughed and threw a punch at Hong Zheng. Bang! Hong Zheng's body exploded, and he died on the spot. Swoosh! At this moment, a light flashed, and Hong Tianqi appeared behind Lin Feng. His eyes were cold and filled with killing intent. Little bastard, die! Hong Tianqi threw a punch at Lin Feng. The aura of a heavenly god was simply too powerful. It was simply too powerful. That kid is done for. Many people cried out in alarm. Facing Hong Tianqi's sure-kill attack, no one thought that Lin Feng could survive. Chapter 1850. Heaven Patching Technique. Swoosh! Hong Tianqi's attack was about to hit Lin Feng. However, Lin Feng suddenly disappeared without a trace. His disappearance was too sudden. This was the wonder of the heaven patching technique. Although Hong Tianqi was powerful, he could do nothing against Lin Feng's heaven patching technique. His attack hit nothing but air. Lin Feng appeared a few hundred meters away, and then he quickly flew away. Lin Feng's current strength was probably enough to fight against a first firmament heavenly god. However, Hong Tianqi was at least a fourth or fifth firmament heavenly god, or even stronger. Therefore, Lin Feng had no intention of fighting Hong Tianqi to the death. Use the spirit stone cannons to kill him. Hong Tianqi's expression was extremely gloomy as he shouted sternly, "Boom, boom, boom." Immediately after, the spirit stone cannons on the more than 40 ancient ships fired their spirit stone cannons. The densely packed spirit stone cannons were so powerful that they could destroy heaven and earth. In the face of these spirit stone cannons' attack, Lin Feng summoned the ancient ship Xian Yuan. The ancient ship's restrictions were activated, and the densely packed spirit stone cannons bombarded the ancient ship. However, all of them were blocked by the ancient ship's restrictions. The ancient ship was indeed worthy of being a divine ship forged by great Emperor Xian Yuan. It was simply too powerful. The ancient starship Xian Yuan jumped into the void and disappeared without a trace. "Little bastard, no matter where you go, I'll kill you. I'll definitely kill you." Hong Tianqi's resentful roar resounded above the sea. Countless onlookers were dumbfounded. Everything had happened too quickly. From the moment Lin Feng broke the ancient ship's restrictions, killed Hong Zheng, dodged Hong Tianqi's sure-kill attack, summoned an ancient ship to block the spirit stone cannons of the more than 40 giant ships, and finally left, only a very short time had passed. However, too many unbelievable things had happened in such a short time. The most shocking thing was that Lin Feng had successfully escaped. It was simply a miracle. The ancient starry sky ship Xian Yuan sailed above the sea. Lin Feng had purchased a nautical chart before setting out to sea. Therefore, even if he went to the myriad immortals island alone, he would still be able to reach it. However, Lin Feng was unfamiliar with the sea route, so it would inevitably take a long time to reach the great immortals island. Moreover, if he were to act alone, he would likely be attacked by dire beasts or pirates. Lin Feng wondered if he would encounter any fleets of other trading companies along the way. If they were able to meet them, they would take the fleets of other trading companies. However, before Lin Feng encountered any other fleets, he had already encountered a group of powerful beasts. This was the huge group of beasts formed by the crocodile-tailed tiger sharks. The crocodile-tailed tiger shark was one of the most ferocious, large-scale, ferocious beasts in the returning ruins sea region. It had a crocodile-like tail, a shark-like head, and sharp teeth. The crocodile-tailed tiger shark's body was very large. Ordinary crocodile-tailed tiger sharks were about 300 meters long. Some large crocodile-tailed tiger sharks could reach up to 1,000 meters long. The larger the body, the more powerful the crocodile-tailed tiger shark would be. The group of crocodile-tailed tiger sharks attacking the ancient starry sky ship Xian Yuan numbered about 700 to 800. These crocodile-tailed tiger sharks spat out numerous energy light balls. The overwhelming attacks bombarded the ancient starry sky ship Xian Yuan. The power was simply unimaginable. The attacks that filled the sky felt like the end of the world. The ancient starry sky ship Xian Yuan's restrictions suffered a huge impact. Moreover, it even started to issue cracking sounds. The main reason was that the crocodile-tailed tiger sharks were simply too many. With so many crocodile-tailed tiger sharks joining forces, even a giant god realm powerhouse might be killed. Lin Feng controlled the ancient starry sky ship Xian Yuan to resist the attacks of the crocodile-tailed tiger sharks with great difficulty. Then, he quickly rushed into the depths of the sea. The crocodile-tailed tiger sharks chased after him, one chasing and one escaping. After flying for tens of thousands of miles, they finally got rid of the crocodile-tailed tiger sharks. What a terrifying group of dire beasts. No wonder cultivators rarely go out to sea alone. Once you encounter such a powerful group of dire beasts, it would be a disaster. Lin Feng said with lingering fear. The ancient starry sky ship Xianyuan continued to sail through the sea. At night, a storm swept through the sea. Monstrous waves. A monstrous wave. It was at least 10,000 meters high. The ancient starry sky ship Xianyuan drifted along the sea with the monstrous waves. It made people worry that the ship might be overturned by the monstrous waves. Above the 9 heavens, black clouds rolled, lightning flashed, and thunder rumbled. The rain grew heavier and heavier. Suddenly, more than 20 giant ships were approaching from a distance. One could see a skull flag hanging on each of the ships. It was a pirate flag. This fleet, it was a pirate fleet, a pirate group that could gather more than 20 top-grade battleships. Naturally, their strength was exceptionally tyrannical. Big Brother! An ancient ship appeared in front of us. After seeing Lin Feng's Xuanyuan's ancient starry sky ship, the pirates on the watchtower of the Pirate King's ship Xianyuan quickly entered the cabin to report. Inside the cabin, there were songs and dances, and a group of high-level pirates were having fun. The pirate commander was a one-eyed man. This person's nickname was One-Eyed. The huge pirate group in front of them was called the One-Eyed Pirate Group. It was one of the top 10 pirate groups in the Returning Ruins Sea. It had a strong and powerful army. Moreover, it was said that the One-Eyed Pirate Group seemed to have the support of a top-grade force. Therefore, in the Returning Ruins Sea, the One-Eyed Pirate Group was a terrifying pirate group that anyone would avoid. Ha! Then what are we waiting for? Attack immediately. Kill all the men and capture all the women. Let the brothers enjoy themselves. One-Eyed said with a laugh. Yes. After receiving the order, the many pirates quickly got up and returned to their respective pirate ships. The pirate fleet sped up and surrounded Lin Feng's ancient starry sky ship Xianyuan. The people inside, listen up. Quickly come out and surrender. Otherwise, only death awaits. One of the pirates shouted loudly. Oh, a pirate group? Lin Feng looked outside and could not help but frown. God Realm clone, speed up. Lin Feng gave the order to the God Realm clone that was steering the ancient starry sky ship Xianyuan. The ancient starry sky ship Xianyuan sped up, wanting to break out of the encirclement. Fire! At this time, the captains of more than 20 pirate ships gave the order to attack. Asterisk boom boom. Asterisk immediately after, the spirit stone cannons on the more than 20 pirate ships fired a dense barrage of spirit stone cannons. The spirit stone cannons rained down on the ancient starry sky ship Xianyuan. Humph! Lin Feng could not help but snort. He also gave the order to the humanoid puppet on the ancient starry sky ship Xianyuan to fire. Asterisk boom boom. Asterisk in the middle of the sea, the ancient starry sky ship Xuanyuan's spirit stone cannons were also ignited. A dense barrage of cannons was also fired. The cannons bombarded the more than 20 pirate ships. Chapter 1851. The spirit stone cannons on the Xianyuan ancient starry sky ship were personally created by Heavenly Emperor Xianyuan in the past. As such, the array patterns arranged on them were not something that the current spirit stone cannons could compare to. Therefore, they were exceptionally powerful. Moreover, the spirit stone cannons on the Xianyuan ancient starry sky ship had an even longer range. At the same time, the 3 cannons combined together allowed it to fire continuously. When the Xianyuan ancient starry sky ship fired the spirit stone cannons, the spirit stone cannons landed on the pirate ships one after another. The restrictions covering the pirate ships soon exploded. After the restrictions were destroyed, new spirit stone cannons landed on the pirate ships. The spirit stone cannons then exploded. The pirate ships were torn apart by the explosions. However, the Xianyuan ancient starry sky ship managed to dodge most of the spirit stone cannons fired by the pirate ships. Because the Xianyuan ancient starry sky ship was too flexible and fast, it could easily dodge the spirit stone cannons. As for the spirit stone cannons that couldn't be dodged, they were blocked by the restrictions covering the Xianyuan ancient starry sky ship. Asterisk Kacha Kacha. Asterisk it didn't take long before 7 or 8 pirate ships were severely damaged, and 3 of them were completely destroyed. Many pirates died from the explosions. Even the pirates who didn't die from the explosions suffered serious injuries. Sir Head, that ancient ship is too powerful. It has already destroyed 3 of our battleships. Moreover, several of our battleships have suffered severe damage. A pirate minion quickly entered the Pirate King's ship and reported. One-Eyed spoke in a deep voice. We must seize such a powerful ancient ship. No matter what price we have to pay, we must seize it for this head. Inform the captains of all the ships to continue to shrink the battle line and surround that ancient ship completely. Catch a turtle in a jar. Yes, Head. This subordinate will convey Sir Head's order immediately. The pirate minion quickly ran out. Asterisk, woo woo woo. Asterisk, a bugle horn sounded, and the pirate ships began to move towards the middle. At this time, the Xianyuan ancient starry sky ship sped up and rushed out of the gap. At the same time, pirate ships approached from both sides. Fire! Seeing the Xianyuan ancient starry sky ship trying to rush out of the encirclement, the captains of the pirate ships on both sides immediately issued the order to fire. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. A dense barrage of shells shot towards the Xianyuan starry sky ancient ship between the 2 pirate ships. Fire! Lin Feng also gave the order. The spirit stone cannons on both sides of the ancient starship Xianyuan also began to fire. Boom, 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 boom. In an instant, a dense barrage of spirit stone cannonballs were fired. Some of the spirit stone shells fired by both sides collided in midair. Then it exploded, and both sides were destroyed. The other part of them bombarded the restrictions on the enemy ships. The Xianyuan ancient starry sky ships' defensive restrictions blocked the attacks of the spirit stone shells fired by the 2 pirate ships. However, the 2 pirate ships couldn't stop the spirit stone shells fired by the ancient starry sky ship Xianyuan. The restriction was destroyed. Then numerous spirit stone cannonballs landed on the 2 pirate ships. Hurry up and run! Many pirates screamed in horror, wanting to abandon their ships and escape. But he hadn't escaped yet. He had already been blown to pieces by the explosion of the artillery shell. The ancient starry sky ship Xianyuan rushed out of the encirclement. Then, leaving a trail of dust behind, he charged into the depths of the forest. Turn around! Chase after them! One-Eyed roared in exasperation. 10 days later, in the calm ocean, an ancient ship sailed over from afar. On the deck of the ancient ship stood a young man. This ancient ship, it was the Xianyuan ancient starry sky ship. Caw, caw, caw. In the sky, a series of strange cries could be heard. The 4 sacred birds were flying freely. Bibi and Long Tu were chasing after each other on the ancient ship. This Xianyuan ancient starry sky ship is indeed powerful, but I still can't awaken the Emperor Rune inside. It's a pity. Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter to himself. 10 days ago, on that stormy night, the Xianyuan ancient starry sky ship had destroyed 5 pirate ships. Under the siege of more than 20 pirate ships, the ancient starry sky ship had calmly escaped. This was enough to show how powerful the ancient starry sky ship, Xianyuan ancient starry sky ship, was. But Lin Feng knew the might of the ancient starry sky ship, Xianyuan ancient starry sky ship, had yet to be fully unleashed. Whether it was the defensive grand arrays or the offensive grand arrays, on the spirit stone cannons. These grand arrays were just ordinary grand arrays. But in fact, the ancient starry sky ship Xianyuan ancient starry sky ship had an even more powerful emperor rune. This was the emperor rune arranged by Great Emperor Xianyuan. However, Lin Feng hadn't been able to awaken the emperor rune. If the emperor rune of the ancient starry sky ship Xianyuan ancient starry sky ship could be awakened, at that time, how tyrannical would its power be? It was simply unimaginable. If he encountered a pirate group, like the One-Eyed Pirate Group again, he might be able to easily destroy the entire pirate fleet. 5 days later, Lin Feng saw an island. He could vaguely see a small town on the island. Lin Feng revealed a surprised expression. After entering the sea for so long, this was the first time he saw a gathering place on the sea. Of course, it was a bit inappropriate to describe it as a gathering place on the sea, because this was just a small town on the sea. Lin Feng put away the ancient starry sky ship, Xianyuan ancient starry sky ship. Bibi and Dragon Rabbit also returned to the mountain river ring. The 4 sacred birds turned into the size of eagles and stood on Lin Feng's shoulder. Lin Feng flew towards the island. He landed on the island and found that there was a huge rock 4 to 500 meters high on the island's beach. The words Treasure Mountain Island were written on the rock. Treasure Mountain Island was the name of the island. He came to the small town. Lin Feng found that there were many cultivators in this small town. Many of them were sea cultivators who lived in the sea. These sea cultivators often had 2 identities. On the surface, they might be a rogue cultivator or a cultivator from an overseas immortal island. But the other identity might be a pirate. There was a saying, every sea cultivator is a thief. It meant that every sea cultivator was a robber. The sea was boundless, so even if they killed someone, they could quietly erase all the clues. Therefore, many people liked to kill and rob at sea. Seeing such an unfamiliar face like Lin Feng coming to the island, many cultivators showed a gloomy look. It was a look full of evil intentions. Many people started to target Lin Feng. Lin Feng looked indifferent. He walked on the island and saw a restaurant. Then he entered the restaurant and ordered a table of exotic delicacies. This was the sea. Therefore, the ingredients were all from the sea. It was very different from the food in the mainland. After eating a perfect seafood meal and paying the bill, Lin Feng decided to find an inn to rest. But when he came out of the restaurant, he found a commotion in the distance. A group of cultivators with evil intentions had surrounded a beautiful female cultivator. Chapter 1852. The beautiful female cultivator, who was surrounded, was wearing a long white dress, completely revealing her perfect figure. Anyone who saw her exquisite and beautiful face would be amazed. At this moment, Lin Feng heard the owner of a shop by the roadside say, "These cultivators at sea are all lawless. That female cultivator is so beautiful and alone. I'm afraid she won't have a good ending." The cultivators at sea all had some shocking means. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to survive in such a dangerous place like the sea. However, the cultivators at sea were often very bold. This was because if they committed any crimes at sea, no one would care about it. If the other party had a huge force behind them, there was no need to worry. The sea was so big, they could just find a place to hide. This might be the reason why the cultivators at sea were so unscrupulous. "Get out of the way. This little beauty is mine." A burly cultivator with a giant axe in his hand shouted loudly. His voice was like thunder. Many people's expressions changed slightly when they saw this burly cultivator, and they hurriedly made way. "Who is this person? He seems to have some reputation." He actually made a group of ferocious cultivators at sea so afraid. Lin Feng looked at the shop owner and asked, This person is called Dong Yen, nicknamed the Great Evil King Chaotic Heaven. The axe in his hand is very evil. He is a famous cultivator in the surrounding sea. Moreover, this guy's cousin is the captain of the 36th pirate ship of the White Tiger pirate ship, which is ranked third. With someone backing him, he is becoming more and more arrogant. The shop owner said. Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. These cultivators at sea did not burn or loot this island. It seemed that this island was not simple. Perhaps on this island there were many pirates. Those who entered the sea were pirates, and those who entered the island were citizens. This kind of thing was very common. The great evil King Chaotic Heaven looked at the beautiful female cultivator with a lewd smile and said, "Little beauty, follow me. Don't worry, although I look rough. I'm a person who knows how to take care of women. I'll definitely dote on you. Get lost." The female cultivator's voice was indifferent. Everyone was slightly stunned. They did not expect this female cultivator to dare to ask the great evil King Chaotic Heaven, Dong Yen, to get lost. How audacious. You're still a little chilly. This prince likes spicy little girls like you. Demon King Chaotic Heaven. Dong Yen laughed lewdly as he stretched out his hand towards the female cultivator's slender waist. The female cultivator coldly snorted and raised her jade-like hand. Everyone only saw a flash of white light before their eyes. Puff! A tearing sound was heard. Everyone saw it. One of great evil King Chaotic Heaven Dong Yan's arms was chopped off and blood gushed out. Ah! Only then did great evil King Chaotic Heaven Dong Yen feel intense pain. He could not stop himself from screaming. "I'll chop you into pieces." The great evil King Chaotic Heaven Dong Yen roared with resentment as he held the giant axe with one hand. He swung his axe towards the female cultivator, wanting to chop this beautiful female cultivator to death. The beautiful female cultivator had an indifferent expression and gently waved her right hand. Whoosh! Cold light flickered. Puff! A tearing sound suddenly rang out. The other arm of the great evil King Chaotic Heaven, Dong Yen, was also cut off. Since you've already lost your arms and become a cripple, what's the point of living? The female cultivator's voice was indifferent. She gently waved her right hand, and another white light flashed. Puff! The great evil King Chaotic Heaven Dong Yen's head soared into the sky as blood splattered everywhere. The headless corpse fell to the ground with a loud bang. Lin Feng looked at the female cultivator in shock. She was really strong. He did not even see what kind of attack the female cultivator had made. The shop owner gloated. This group of people really kicked an iron plate. This female cultivator is too powerful. Yeah, Lin Feng nodded in agreement. When the rest of the people saw how powerful the female cultivator was, many of them were so scared that their faces turned pale. They hurriedly retreated. The female cultivator did not attack them. Instead, she walked towards the town. Dong Yan's storage ring is mine. Who dares to snatch it from me? I'll take his dog life. A cultivator shouted with a fierce expression. Then he pounced on Dong Yan's corpse. Who do you think you are? You say it's yours, and it's yours? Who's stronger? Who's it? Immediately, someone sneered in response. They also pounced over. Immediately after, a group of cultivators fought over Dong Yan's storage ring. Little brother, how about coming to the shop for a drink? The shop owner invited with a smile. The shop owner looked like a middle-aged man in his 40s, but he did not care about his appearance. He looked rather dispirited. Thank you for the invitation. Uncle! Lin Feng cupped his fists and followed the middle-aged man into the shop. This shop sold all kinds of seafood. There were 2 shop assistants helping to look after it. Lin Feng followed the middle-aged man into the inner hall, where he saw a few dishes on the table. There was even boiling wine. the middle-aged man should have been drinking by himself when he heard the commotion outside and went out to see what was going on. After some conversation, Lin Feng learned that the middle-aged man's name was Jiang Wenxiang. His name had a scholarly air to it. However, his image was very different. It had nothing to do with a scholar. The two of them drank to their heart's content and chatted about all sorts of things. They became much more familiar with each other. Jiang Wenxiang asked, "You entered the sea region, this time to go to the sinkhole battlefield." Lin Feng nodded and said, "That's right. I'm going to the sinkhole battlefield, but I need to go to the Myriad Immortals Island first. Once I'm there, I'll follow the Myriad Immortals Island's people to the sinkhole battlefield." Jiang Wenxiang said, "That's a good idea. The Myriad Immortals Island's people can deal with the sinkhole's evil dragon palace and Fuso Island's people. However, you'll need to pass through the Sea of Lightning to reach the Myriad Immortals Island. Those large merchant fleets have a way to pass through the Sea of Lightning, but if you go through the Sea of Lightning by yourself, you'll easily get lost. Moreover, there are some unclean things in the Sea of Lightning. If you go through the Sea of Lightning by yourself, you'll probably be dragged down by those unclean things and might even lose your life in the sea." Lin Feng was shocked. He had not expected that there would be such a thing. He asked, "Are there any unclean things in the Sea of Lightning?" Jiang Wenxiang said, "You'll know everything once you reach the Sea of Lightning." Lin Feng continued asking, "Uncle Jiang, do you know how to pass through the Sea of Lightning?" "You can go to the courtyard in the northwest corner of the town and look for the old smoker. He can take you through the Sea of Lightning," Jiang Wenxiang said. Lin Feng nodded. He drank to his heart's content with Jiang Wenxiang and then left. This Uncle Jiang seems to be no ordinary person. Lin Feng could not help but think to himself. It did not take long for him to arrive outside the dilapidated courtyard that Jiang Wenxiang had mentioned. Chapter 1853. Cough, cough, cough. He heard coughing when he arrived outside. When the coughing stopped, Lin Feng knocked on the door and said, "Senior Smoker, I was introduced by Uncle Jiang Wenxiang. Would it be convenient for me to meet you?" "Come in," a hoarse and old voice said. Lin Feng pushed open the door and entered the courtyard. He saw an old man sitting on a wooden stool. The old man had a withered body and sunken eyes. His skin was like the bark of an old tree, crisscrossing with wrinkles. He held a pipe in his hand and was smoking. Perhaps this was the origin of his nickname, the Smoker. "You want to cross the Sea of Lightning?" the smoker asked Lin Feng. "Yes." Lin Feng nodded. 30,000 origin crystals for the journey. If you don't have enough, you can pay with other treasures, the smoker said. The smoker was quite greedy. It was an exorbitant price. However, the smoker had a way to cross the Sea of Lightning. Of course, Lin Feng didn't care about the 30,000 origin crystals. He nodded and said, 30,000 origin crystals is not a problem. When should I pay?" "You can pay when you board the ship," the smoker said. "When should I board the ship?" Lin Feng asked. "In 3 days," the smoker said. "Good. I'll come back in 3 days. This junior will take his leave." Lin Feng cupped his fists and left. He found an inn to stay in. Lin Feng noticed that someone was watching him. A young cultivator like him, who was alone, would easily become a target, so Lin Feng wasn't surprised. At night, some people would sneak up on him, wanting to attack him. Lin Feng disappeared from the room and went outside. He stood on the roof and looked at the 7 cultivators who were hiding there. He said indifferently, "Why are you on my roof in the middle of the night instead of sleeping?" The cultivators were shocked when they heard this. They turned their heads and saw Lin Feng appear behind them. Their expressions became serious. At this moment, they realized that the person in front of them was much more powerful than they had imagined. Attack together, one of the cultivators said coldly. They had the advantage in numbers, after all. Additionally, they were dealing with a young cultivator like Lin Feng. Thus, they were quite confident in their chances of winning. The group of cultivators then charged towards Lin Feng. Whoosh! A light flashed. Puff, puff, puff. Ripping sounds could be heard as one cultivator after another was decapitated and their corpses fell to the ground. Retreat. Some of the cultivators hiding in the dark saw how terrifying Lin Feng was and quickly retreated. Lin Feng glanced at the waiter who came out after hearing the noise and said, "Clean up the corpses. Their belongings are also yours." "Sir, don't worry. This little one will definitely clean everything up." The waiter grinned and said he did not look surprised at all when he saw so many corpses. He was very calm and composed. It was obvious that he had seen many bloody scenes like this before. This Treasure Mountain Island itself was filled with a strange feeling. The people here were also strange. Even an ordinary waiter couldn't look down on him. Time flew by. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. Lin Feng said goodbye to Jiang Wenxiang and then went to the smoker's residence. When he arrived, he found that there were already 5 people there. One was a one-armed swordsman. The other was a mysterious person shrouded in black and wearing a black bamboo hat. His face couldn't be seen clearly. There was also a boy who looked like he was only 7 or 8 years old. However, he was obviously not a child. Perhaps it was because he cultivated some strange cultivation method that his body didn't grow up. There was also a handsome young man. Beside him was a beautiful female cultivator in a purple dress. She seemed to be with the handsome young man. After seeing Lin Feng arrive, the group of people looked indifferent. They didn't say anything, nor did they come forward to greet him. Lin Feng stood in the corner and waited slowly. He felt that someone else would come because the smoker had been smoking and didn't say anything. Sure enough, it didn't take long for another person to arrive. It was the decisive woman he saw before. Her cultivation was unfathomable, and her cold temperament made her look like a fairy from the Moon Palace. "Everyone is here. Everyone pay the source crystals," the smoker said. Everyone nodded and went forward to pay the source crystals to the smoker. "The Thunder Sea is not calm. We are different from the fleets of those big trading companies. The fleets of those big trading companies have dozens or hundreds of huge warships gathered together, which is a deterrent force. Therefore, it will be easier for them to cross the Thunder Sea. However, there are only a few of us, and our strength is limited. Therefore, when we cross the Thunder Sea, some strange things will happen. Don't be lost in the Thunder Sea. It will be very terrible," the smoker warned. Everyone nodded and then followed the smoker outside. When they came to the seaside, the smoker waved his right hand, and a small broken ship 5 meters long and 2 meters wide appeared in front of them. The young man frowned slightly and said, "You want us to cross the sea in such a ship? Isn't it too shabby? You have collected so many source crystals. What kind of ancient ship can't you buy?" The smoker laughed strangely and said, "For so many years, the fleets of those big trading companies have been allowed to cross the Thunder Sea without any accidents. As far as I know, there have been more than 10 accidents. Twice, the fleet was even wiped out. However, for so many years, this small broken ship has crossed the Thunder Sea without any accidents. This ship is made of purple sunquake magic wood, right?" Suddenly, the mysterious woman said aloud. Obviously, this woman had an extraordinary origin. She was also a person who had seen a lot. Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat, and he said, "Is the purple sunquake magic wood that this fairy is talking about the divine tree that has been extinct since the primordial era?" "Yes, The woman nodded slightly. If that was the case, then the origin of this small boat was naturally extremely extraordinary. The smoker said indifferently, "Girl, you are very knowledgeable. Well, let's board the ship." Everyone waited for the ship to board one after another. Then, everyone found a place to sit down. Most people chose to remain silent. Only the handsome young man and his female companion exchanged a few words from time to time. They vaguely heard the young man call his female companion junior sister Chang'ing. Chang'ing should be the woman's name, and she called the young man's senior brother Zhou-Han. Zhou-Han should be the young man's name. Chapter 1854. The ancient ship made of purple sun-shocking devil was even more extraordinary than they had imagined. After everyone boarded, the smoker grabbed the oars and started moving them. The ancient ship moved as fast as lightning. "Senior, have you always ferried cultivators across the lightning sea?" Lin Feng asked. The smoker took a puff of his pipe and grinned. "Yes, I've been a ferryman for a long time." "Ferryman?" The black-robed cultivator's voice rose. The smoker laughed strangely and looked at the black-robed cultivator. "Do you know what ferrymen are? Ferrying the living during the day and the dead at night. You're a soul ferryman." The black-robed cultivator said in a deep voice. "Soul ferryman?" Hearing this name, the others were slightly shocked, and their expressions turned solemn. Ferrying the living during the day and the dead at night. In just 2 short sentences, there were too many things that made one's hair stand on end. You're not going to harm us, are you?" Zhou-Han said with a trembling voice. The cultivators on the ancient ship felt threatened and looked at the smoker warily. Lin Feng had always felt that the smoker was a little strange. He was actually a soul ferryman. Such an existence roamed the 2 realms of yin and yang. He was neither a human nor a ghost. It was extremely terrifying. The smoker said, "You don't have to make such a fuss. A soul ferryman only ferries the most terrifying evil spirits in the world. It's a matter of boundless virtue." Lin Feng said, "It's still daytime. If it's nighttime, won't an evil spirit appear on the ship?" When the others heard Lin Feng's words, they could not help but shiver. If that was the case, it would be too creepy. Traveling with evil spirits, just the thought of it was terrifying. How can there be so many evil spirits? A soul ferryman also needs to cultivate. I have business during the day and at night. Since I've accepted your business, I won't accept any business at night." The old chain smoker cackled 3 times. During the day, he accepted business from the living. At night, he accepted business from the dead. Sitting on the same ship as the smoker made many people feel uncomfortable. However, they were finally relieved. At least there would not be any evil spirits. 3 days later, in the distance, lightning filled the sky. The boundless ocean was enveloped by the world of thunder. "Is that the lightning sea? It's spectacular," Chang'ing said. The smoker cackled. "Spectacular? There's something terrifying sealed under this place." Something terrifying? Everyone looked at the heavy smoker in confusion. Rumor has it that the lightning sea is the place of the primordial thunder god and an evil spirit. The primordial thunder god sealed the evil spirit, but he also suffered serious injuries. This battle set the stage for the fall of the primordial thunder god. The smoker said, "Back then, the primordial thunder god was also an existence that was close to cultivating to immortality. In that era, he was almost invincible. It was hard to imagine what kind of evil spirit was sealed and that it could actually injure him so severely." Chang'ing asked, "What is that evil spirit?" The smoker cackled. "That's a name that can't be mentioned. It's too evil and too terrifying. Anyone who mentions that name will be cursed." Many people were horrified. Was the smoker telling the truth? That was too evil. The small ship rushed into the lightning sea. In the lightning sea, there were broken laws everywhere. Lightning fell from the sky, and space-time currents raged wildly. No wonder the lightning sea was so dangerous. It was indeed full of danger. The broken laws, the lightning falling from the sky, and the space-time currents were enough to cause a destructive blow to a cultivator. The ancient ship sailed through the sea of lightning, avoiding the broken seals, the space-time reversal, and the descending lightning bolts. They flew all the way to the depths. The destruction caused by the battle is too terrifying, isn't it? Johann could not help but sigh. The destruction caused by a battle between existences at the level of the thunder god is unimaginable. The smoker said indifferently, "At night, the lightning sea was shrouded in darkness." The smoker stood up, took out 4 bamboo poles, and inserted them into the gaps in the 4 corners of the ancient ship. Then he hung 4 bronze lamps on the 4 bamboo poles. Namo Amitba. Suddenly, the sound of chanting Buddhist scriptures came out of the 4 bronze lamps. Buddha fat. Lin Feng raised his eyebrows slightly. Buddha fat was refined from the body of a Buddhist monk. The price of Buddha fat on the market was ridiculously high. Moreover, one might not be able to buy it with money. The smoker said, "It's late at night. Light the 4 lamps to drive away the evil spirits." Everyone nodded. They sat on the ship and could not help but look around. The yin-chi in the lightning sea was very heavy at night. It was much more dangerous than during the day. However, the smoker was obviously very experienced. So, they did not encounter any danger along the way. "Look in the distance." Chang'ing suddenly screamed. Everyone looked over and saw the rolling black fog in the distance. The endless black fog was quickly flying toward them. The lightning sea is not calm, the smoker said to himself. He sped up and finally shook off the black fog that was chasing them. Everyone let out a long breath. They had finally gotten rid of the black fog that covered the sky. When they felt the aura of the black fog, everyone felt a sense of suffocation. "What's in the black fog?" Lin Feng asked. "I don't know, because I will stay far away from the black fog." The smoker said. Lin Feng did not know if the smoker really did not know, or if he was just pretending not to know. There were many things that the smoker did not know. Perhaps he did not want to tell them. The first few days were relatively peaceful, although they encountered danger. The smoker was able to avoid it in time. Johann asked, "How many days do we need to cross the lightning sea?" "If it doesn't go well, it will take about 10 days. If it goes well, we can cross the lightning sea in 6 or 7 days. When we are out of the lightning sea, we will arrive at the lightning island. You can rest there for a while. After that, we will head north." The smoker said. Everyone nodded. Another day passed. There was no lightning in the lightning sea. Instead, there was a full moon. There should not be a moon in the lightning sea. This is a place covered by lightning. I'm afraid it won't be peaceful tonight. The smoker's expression became serious. He sped up, and the ancient ship rushed into the depths of the lightning sea at its fastest speed. "Look, the full moon has turned into a blood moon." Chang'ing shouted in horror. Everyone looked over and saw that the full moon had turned into a blood moon. Everyone's expression became serious. Such a strange situation. It was likely that the smoker was right. This night would not be peaceful. Whoosh! A gust of cold wind blew. Suddenly, the flames of the 4 bronze lamps were all extinguished. Why are the bronze lamps extinguished? They are made of Buddha resin. They are said to be inextinguishable. Lin Feng frowned. The smoker said in a serious voice, "People light the lamps, ghosts blow them out. Something unclean is coming." Chapter 1855. People light the lantern, ghosts blow out the lantern. 6 short words. Lin Feng and the others felt their hair stand on end. Johann hurriedly took out a kasaya and put it on, while Chang Ing took out a string of prayer beads. Lin Feng took out a sarira and held it in his hand. The others also took out their Buddhist treasures to protect themselves. Buddhism was the bane of ghosts. Therefore, Buddhist treasures were able to restrain evil ghosts. These aren't ordinary ghosts. They're fused with terrifying resentment. Even Buddhist treasures can't restrain them. The smoker said. Everyone's expressions sank. It seemed that things were going to be troublesome. The 7 or 8-year-old boy said, "Since you're a soul ferryman and can ferry evil spirits, you should be able to deal with these ghosts, right? These ghosts, they're not evil ghosts. They're much more powerful than evil ghosts. But don't worry. Since I've taken your source crystals, I'll do my best to protect you," the smoker said. The smoker made a series of seals with both hands. One seal after another was sent into the ancient ship. Suddenly, an energy barrier rose and protected the ancient ship. The ancient ship was not simple. It could restrain evil ghosts. Moreover, it had a powerful defensive seal. It was equivalent to a double defense. "Light up 4 lamps," the smoker said. Lin Feng and the others nodded and lit up the 4 extinguished lamps again. The smoker moved the oars, and the ancient ship continued to move deeper into the sea. Where the sun rises, there's a beautiful home. Beautiful flowers bloom in the grass. Colorful butterflies, dancing gracefully. A beautiful girl walks among the flowers. A handsome young man walks toward her. He confesses his love to the beautiful girl. They're really a golden boy and a jade girl. They're so compatible together. But one day, the girl's father separated them because the handsome young man's family was poor. And so, the handsome young man went out alone. He became a brave adventurer. He worked hard to earn a lot of money so that he could return to his hometown and marry the girl he loved. My beloved girl stands on the castle and looks into the distance every day. "My love, when will you come back? Do you know that I've been waiting for you? My father betrothed me to a count. If you don't come back, we'll never see each other again." It was a sad song that came from the depths of the Sea of Lightning. When they heard the sad song, everyone was stunned. What kind of person would write such a sad song? Love. It was the most beautiful memory of their lives. It was the most unforgettable thing in life. Since ancient times, how many infatuated men and resentful women could sacrifice everything for love? "My love, I can't wait until you come back. The Count's wedding processions is outside the castle. Father asked the maids at home to help me put on the wedding dress for my wedding. How much I wanted to wear such a beautiful dress before. Look at the beautiful woman in the mirror. That woman is me, as beautiful as an angel. But I only want to be your wife, your angel. My love, I'm going to leave. Maybe I'll look down on the world from heaven. I just want to look at you from afar. That's enough. Or maybe I'll look up at the world from hell, because I'm an unfilial daughter. If I go to hell, this will be my punishment. My father will be very sad. But I can't go against my heart. My love, I can already hear the wedding procession knocking on the door. I don't have time. My love, you have to live well. When you come back, I don't want you to come to my tombstone. I just want to leave my best self in your heart." That sad song. It ended just like that. Lin Feng and the others were immersed in extreme pain. They seemed to empathize with her. The man seemed to have become the woman's lover. The woman seemed to have become the woman who was infatuated and had a tragic fate. "My love, is it really you? I've been waiting for you to come back." Lin Feng found himself in a patch of grass decorated with flowers. It was so beautiful. The afternoon sun. It was so bright. She smiled innocently and beautifully. "My love, can you come over and hug me? I really miss you." She revealed a hopeful and shy expression, that pair of pure eyes that made one's heart tremble. She looked over without blinking. She was so beautiful that it was suffocating. Lin Feng felt as if he had really become the man who had gone far away, the lover of this beautiful angel. He walked forward. He wanted to hold this girl, who was so beautiful that it made one's heart tremble tightly in his arms. "Wake up, all of you!" Suddenly, a cold shout resounded. It directly woke Lin Feng up. His originally blurry eyes instantly became clear. The grass, the flowers, and the angel-like girl all disappeared, and in front of him was still a sea of lightning. He had already arrived at the edge of the ancient ship. If he took another step, he would fall off the ancient ship and into the sea of lightning. The others were like Lin Feng. They were about to leave the ancient ship and fall into the sea of lightning. Only the old smoker was clear-headed. He was the ferryman of souls. He was not bewitched. Roar. A roar was heard. In the darkness, strange creatures shrouded in black robes pounced over, wanting to strangle Lin Feng and the others. Then, they would drag them out of the ancient ship. Everyone had a horrified expression on their faces as they quickly retreated into the ancient ship. Sizzle! Sizzle! When the claws of those black-robed creatures touched the energy shield, they immediately burned violently. Seeing this scene, everyone let out a long sigh of relief, but at the same time, they had a lingering fear. It was really too dangerous just now. If the old smoker had not woken everyone up in time, who knew what kind of terrifying thing would have happened? They left. Johann shouted. Everyone looked over. Sure enough, those black-robed creatures were leaving one after another. Humans walk the path of ghosts, and ghosts walk the path of humans. If humans and ghosts do not separate, humans and ghosts will walk the same path. All of a sudden, a gloomy voice was heard. Endless darkness covered the sky and the sun. The clattering sound of chains could be heard from the darkness. The blood moon in the sky was completely covered by it. The surrounding ghostly chi was eerie and extremely terrifying. This is the passage to the ghost realm. The black-robed cultivator's gloomy voice was heard. Johann cried out in horror. A passage to the ghost realm? It must have something to do with the sealed creature. Is the sealed creature an expert from the ghost realm? Shut up! The old smoker shouted angrily. The black-robed cultivator. And Johann mentioned the ghost realm. It made him extremely angry. Chapter 1856. The ghost realm was a world that made everyone's expression change, because the ghost realm was related to the fleeting 6 paths. The 6 paths of the 3 realms that cultivators usually talked about were above the 3 realms. The 3 supreme realms and the other world were worlds of the same level. Further down, the 3,000 great worlds were worlds of the same level. Further down, there were middle worlds and small worlds. And what was the 6 paths? The 6 paths didn't refer to the world, but a kind of Tao that was above the world. The 6 paths included Heavenly Path, Human Path, Azura Path, Animal Path, Wraith Path, and Hell Path. In the legends, it was Pangu who created the world. But after the creation of the world, how were the worlds formed? Even Pangu, Nuwa, and other Khanate life forms were born. In fact, this involved the 6 paths of samsara. Like the heavenly path of the 6 paths, when people quarreled, they would often say, "Why didn't the heavens strike you with lightning?" In fact, the heavens referred to the heavenly path. In the 6 paths, the heavenly path set many rules, such as the change of the 4 seasons, the birth, aging, illness, and death of people. These were all set by the heavenly path. When cultivators cultivated, they would encounter heavenly tribulations, which were sent by the heavenly path. Among them, the wraith path was one of the most mysterious paths. It was said that when the wraith path formed the 6 paths of reincarnation, it created a world independent of the underworld, and this world was called the ghost realm. The underworld was a place where the dead went, and the underworld was related to the hell path of the 6 paths. But to be precise, the underworld wasn't just a place where the dead went. Humans, demons, immortals, demons, beasts, and so on. Any living being with spirituality should go to the underworld after death. However, because of various reasons, some living beings couldn't go to the underworld after death. For example, some people turned into evil spirits after death. If their resentment was too strong, they would stay in the human world and harm others. They wouldn't enter the underworld and reincarnate. Another example was when some top experts died, leaving behind a remnant soul, which turned into a Yin god. Lin Feng had encountered Yin gods more than once. Yin gods couldn't go to the underworld. Of course, if he met a ferryman like the opium pipe, he could send these terrible ghosts back to the underworld. But if they met the ferryman, these terrifying ghosts could go to another place, and that was the ghost realm. Just from its name, one could tell how evil it was. The wraith realm created by the wraith realm was too mysterious. It transcended the 3 realms and was not part of the 5 elements. The ghost realm was a realm that many people were unwilling to mention because it was too demonic and terrifying. And now, the ancient ship seemed to be heading towards the world of spirits and souls. Everyone's expression was extremely ugly. Even the ferryman, the old smoker, had a serious expression on his face. How terrifying was the world of spirits and souls. Chang'ing cried out in horror, "Senior smoker, we won't die, right? I'm still young. I haven't lived long enough. I don't want to die." The crowd couldn't help but roll their eyes. "We're still young and don't want to die." The old smoker said in a low voice, "What are you afraid of? Even if you die, won't you have so many people with you?" Chang'ing almost fainted after being scared by the smoker. Bang, bang, bang. Suddenly, the ancient ship shook violently, as if something was hitting the ancient ship. "It's coming," the black-robed cultivator said in a deep voice. This black-robed cultivator was not simple either. He knew a lot of secrets, and his perception of the outside world was not something that ordinary people could compare to. "Below," the one-armed swordsman said, just as his voice fell. Bang! A powerful force slammed into the bottom of the ancient ship. The ancient ship was sent flying. "Grab the ancient ship. Don't fall," the old smoker shouted. Everyone quickly grabbed onto the places around them that they could grab, trying their best not to be thrown out of the ancient ship. Once they left the ancient ship, this was the passage to the world of spirits and souls. This was a place where there was no direction. Once they left the ancient ship, it meant that they would die. No wonder the existence that was suppressed here was able to injure the primordial thunder god so severely that he couldn't recover. This existence is very likely a big shot in the world of spirits and souls. It's just that I don't know if he's already dead. But regardless of whether he's dead or not, this sea of lightning has already formed a huge magnetic field. When the blood moon appears, the passage to the world of spirits and souls will open. The Black Bear Devil King said in a dignified voice, "This damn passage to the world of spirits and souls can open at any time. Why did it have to open when I, this young master, am passing through the sea of lightning? It's really a trap for this young master." Lin Feng wanted to cry in his heart, but had no tears. Clatter! Clatter! The sound of chains colliding could be heard. In the darkness, there seemed to be something approaching. Humans and ghosts walked together. Sacrifice the ghost immortal. Vaguely, a series of gloomy voices could be heard. That voice made Lin Feng and the others feel a chill all over their bodies. Sacrifice the ghost immortal. Could it be that their ship of people, were they going to become sacrifices? Sacrifice the so-called ghost immortal? Just thinking about it gave them a creepy feeling. Humans and ghosts walk different paths. Humans walk the path of the living while ghosts walk the gates of hell. At this time, the old smoker suddenly spoke. When the old smoker's words fell, they saw that in the endless distance, in the endless darkness, a dim light spot appeared. The darkness wanted to devour that light spot, but that light spot always floated in the darkness. It was like a small boat in the sea. It could be overturned by big waves at any time and anywhere. Is there a way out? Lin Feng and the others all showed joy. The old smoker was indeed worthy of being a ferryman. He was very capable. He paddled with both hands, and the ancient ship's speed was extremely fast. It rushed in the direction of the light spot. Humans occupy the ghost path, enter the ghost realm. At this time, the gloomy voice sounded again. The route that the ancient ship was on now was the route to the ghost realm. So, it was the ghost path that the gloomy voice said. The ancient ship occupied the ghost path. It was about to enter the ghost realm. As the voice faded away, the sky was getting darker. The gloomy wind was howling around. The ghost night parade, the surrounding world, instantly turned into the ghost realm. And the light spot in the distance, it was gradually disappearing. Seeing this scene, Lin Feng and the others all showed a horrified expression. If the light spot disappeared, it meant the way out. It would also disappear. But they couldn't stop all this. In the end, that light spot disappeared. Lin Feng and the others' faces all became pale. The way out, it disappeared. Did it mean that they couldn't escape? He. In the darkness, gloomy laughter sounded. The mysterious existence in the darkness. At this moment, it seemed to be extremely proud, ferrying the dead to the underworld and ferrying the living back to the world of the living. The old smoker spoke again. His eyes had changed. The originally turbid eyes. They turned into a pair of yin-yang eyes. Chapter 1857. A pair of yin-yang eyes. He could see through life and death in the world. Yin-yang eyes could see through the world of yin and yang. No wonder the old smoker could become the ferryman. He actually had yin-yang eyes. It was a talent, and it was an innate talent. The old smoker, who had opened his yin-yang eyes, seemed to be able to see the disappearing light spot. So he didn't stop moving. Instead, he moved faster. Lin Feng and the others were overjoyed. They had a chance to escape from this place. Man lights the lamp. Ghost blows out the lamp. Suddenly, a gloomy voice rang in their ears. The unknown, terrifying creature seemed to have come to them. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. A cold wind blew. Even the defensive light shield of the ancient ship couldn't resist it. For lights, they were extinguished again. The surroundings were completely plunged into darkness. They couldn't even see their own fingers. If they were in the outside world, Lin Feng and the others could have night vision even if it was night. For them, night and day didn't make much difference. But here, it was different. They seemed to have become ordinary people. The darkness covered their eyes. They couldn't see anything. Lin Feng felt as if there was something unclean around him, waves of gloomy and cold aura. It made him have goosebumps. Senior smoker, I don't know what's wrong. I can't move. Chang'ing cried in horror. Among these people, she and Johan were the weakest, and their state of mind was obviously far inferior to others. When something happened, it was easy to fall into this kind of panic. The old smoker didn't answer her. Perhaps the old smoker didn't have the time to answer her, because the old smoker had the energy. He put all his energy on getting everyone out of here quickly. He didn't have the time to care whether Chang'ing was scared, worried, or frightened. Clatter, clatter. The sound of chains colliding sounded again. It came from afar and was getting closer. It seemed to be very close to the ancient ship now. Suddenly, something seemed to be entangled on the ancient ship. The ancient ship that was moving at a high speed was strangled and couldn't move forward anymore. It was a chain from the world of spirits and souls that wrapped around the ancient ship. How can you return to the world of the living after entering the path of the ghost? The gloomy voice sounded again. However, she had no idea where he was. Was he watching everyone from the darkness outside the ancient ship? Or perhaps it was just a voice that came from another space-time. Everything was too strange, causing the souls of Lin Feng and the others to tremble. A drop of blood severs the fetters of the world. The smoker raised his right hand and flicked his finger. A drop of blood flew out. It was actually a streak of silver-white blood. The old smoker was too mysterious. His silver blood could not be human blood. No one knew what race he was from. The drop of blood sank into the darkness. Then it broke the chain that was wrapped around the ancient ship in the darkness. Then the smoker continued to paddle. The speed of the ancient ship quickly increased. Soul Fairy, it's difficult to redeem others. The existence in the darkness called out in a sinister voice. Then a strange force poured into the body of the opium pipe. Ah! The opium pipe let out a shrill cry. Lin Feng quickly took down a bronze lamp and lit it. With the dim light, everyone looked at the opium pipe and saw a creepy scene. There were blood-red hairs on the surface of the opium pipe's body. Obviously, these blood-red hairs should have something to do with the mysterious existence in the darkness. But what was this blood-red hair? It made people puzzled. My fate, he murmured. The opium pipe's voice was shrill, full of horror and unwillingness. His body had already become stiff. He seemed to have turned into a monster covered with red hair. Fate, it's irreversible. No matter how many people you redeem, you can't be saved, the mysterious and terrible creature in the darkness said. He controlled the opium pipe's fate. He controlled everything. I can't escape from this disaster, the opium pipe said with difficulty. Then he let out a shrill cry. His body fell down. Lin Feng and the others were shocked. Is the opium pipe going to die? If the opium pipe dies, none of them will survive. Is the opium pipe's condition related to these red hairs? Lin Feng frowned. He took out the heaven fire and began to burn the red hairs on the opium pipe. The red hairs that were still growing were burned to ashes by the heaven fire. The smoker, on the other hand, woke up. Heaven won't kill me. The opium pipe roared excitedly. He grabbed the oar and continued to row. The ancient ship reached its maximum speed and rushed out. Finally, Lin Feng and the others saw the faint light spot again. They found the way out again. And the way out, it was very close to them. The opium pipe's yin-yang eye was extraordinary. It could see through the world of yin and yang. Rumble! Suddenly, a series of loud noises came from the darkness. A huge palm stretched out. It covered the sky and the sun. It wanted to catch the ancient ship. Burn my divine blood. Activate the emperor pattern. The opium pipe shouted coldly and spat out a mouthful of divine blood. The divine blood burned, and the powerful energy it released was all absorbed by the ancient ship. The emperor patterns on the ancient ship awakened one after another. This surprised Lin Feng. It was just a small ship. In a short time, it had awakened 36 emperor patterns. He didn't know who built this ancient ship, but there were so many emperor runes on it. It was really a big deal. After the emperor patterns awakened, The ancient ship shattered the world and blocked the grasp of the Black Hand. At the same time, the ancient ship reached its maximum speed. It turned into a stream of light and rushed toward the light spot. Ah! At this time, the opium pipe screamed. His left eye had cracked open. Blood immediately flowed out. His yin yang eye was destroyed just like that. Whoosh! Finally, the ancient ship rushed out. The next moment, the ancient ship appeared in the sea of lightning. The blood moon disappeared. There were raging lightning everywhere, terrifying space-time reversal and restrictions with destructive power. We are free. Zhou Han and Chang Ying shouted excitedly. Lin Feng and the others also heaved a sigh of relief. Senior Opium Pipe, are you okay? Lin Feng looked at the opium pipe. The opium pipe's current appearance was really scary. With his cracked eye and gloomy aura, he looked like a corpse that crawled out of a grave. The old smoker suddenly let out a burst of gloomy laughter. Great, great. I saw a way to fight against fate. Chapter 1858. Do you see that? That island is the Thunder Island. You can rest here for a few days before setting off. The ancient ship sailed out of the Thunder Sea. The smoking pipe pointed to the front, where there was a huge island. It was the Thunder Island that the smoking pipe had been talking about. There were many forces in the sea. The Thunder Island was considered a powerful island. The old island master of the Thunder Island, Lei Wanli, was a famous expert in the past. The young island master, Lei Shaoli, had cultivated for 130,000 years and had broken through to the heavenly god realm. His future was limitless. Thank you. Lin Feng and the others cupped their fists. This time, the smoking pipe did not say anything. They wanted to escape. It was as difficult as ascending to heaven. They were all aware of this, so they all thanked the old smoker with sincerity. I've been paid to do this. You don't have to thank me. This is my duty. Let's get off the ship. We'll meet again. The smoking pipe took a puff of his pipe and said, Take care. Everyone cupped their fists again. Then they soared into the sky and flew toward the Thunder Island. The smoking pipe, on the other hand, rowed the boat and returned to the Thunder Sea. He was humming a ballad. The shackles of fate can't restrain me. The power of the curse will eventually be dissolved by me. For a long time, I've been saving people. Heaven rewards those who persevere. Fate is finally changing. Singing the strange ballad, the smoker paddled the boat. Not long after, the ancient boat entered the endless sea of thunder. The Thunder Island was huge. In the depths of the Thunder Island stood a huge thunder city. Cultivators could be seen flying in from all directions. They landed outside the Thunder City and lined up. Each person had to pay 3 origin crystals to enter the Thunder City. Although they had gone through life and death together, they did not have any friendship. Therefore, they did not communicate on the way to the Thunder Island. After landing outside the Thunder City, they lined up and entered the city after paying the origin crystals. The Thunder City was quite lively. People came and went, and all kinds of hawking sounds could be heard. There was something special about the sea. There were many cultivators. There were few ordinary people, because the sea was too dangerous. Therefore, it was difficult for ordinary people to survive in the sea. Therefore, there were very few ordinary people in the sea. However, the world of the sea took up about 72% of the 9 prefectures. The sea area was much larger than the land area. In addition, the sea area was rich in resources. Therefore, the number of cultivators in the sea was endless, even more than the number of cultivators on land. Young master, this is your first time on Lightning Island, right? I have been living on Lightning Island since I was young, so I am very familiar with the place. May I know if there is anything I can do to help young master? Lin Feng had just walked a short distance into the city when a thin and small cultivator walked over while nodding his head and bowing. How do you know that this is my first time here? Lin Feng raised his eyebrows slightly. The skinny cultivator said, I usually observe some unfamiliar faces and act as their tour guide to earn some origin crystals. Since I'm doing this for a living, I think I have some discerning eyes. Lin Feng nodded. He thought of a saying, never use your hobby to challenge other people's jobs. This saying was very suitable for the current situation. From Lin Feng's point of view, this cultivator could tell at a glance that this was his first time on Lightning Island, which made him feel very surprised. However, this was someone else's job. He could tell that something was wrong. Naturally, he had some ability. Lin Feng took out 10 origin crystals and threw them to the skinny cultivator, saying, This is your reward. First, bring me to a place where I can gather all kinds of information. The skinny cultivator quickly accepted the 10 origin crystals. His eyes suddenly lit up, and he quickly put away the origin crystals. Then he put on a fawning expression and said, Young master, please follow me. Usually, when people asked to lead the way, they would only reward them with 1 origin crystal. However, Lin Feng rewarded him with 10 origin crystals. Naturally, the skinny cultivator was very happy. What's your name? Lin Feng asked. My name is Guer. The skinny cultivator quickly replied. Lin Feng nodded and did not ask any more questions. Guer brought Lin Feng to a place called the All-Knowing Pavilion. Is the All-Knowing Pavilion the place where information is gathered and disseminated? Lin Feng asked. Guer nodded and said, The All-Knowing Pavilion has the most powerful information network. Even the information network set up by the Inland Mercenary Association can't compare to the All-Knowing Pavilion. Therefore, a lot of information can be gathered here. Lin Feng nodded and entered the All-Knowing Pavilion. Guer obviously knew the people inside the All-Knowing Pavilion. Soon, he led a middle-aged man over. I'm Sun Qiantao, a deacon of the All-Knowing Pavilion. May I know how to address you, young master? The middle-aged cultivator cupped his fists and said, Lin Feng. Sun Qiantao said with a smile, I heard that you want to gather some information. Please follow me to the VIP room for a detailed discussion. Lin Feng nodded and followed Sun Qiantao to the VIP room. He asked Sun Qiantao about the lightning god's inheritance in the sinkhole battlefield. He learned from Sun Qiantao that the lightning god's inheritance would not appear in the sinkhole battlefield anytime soon because the restriction would not disperse. The restriction would not disperse. There was no way to enter the sinkhole battlefield, not to mention going to the lightning god's inheritance. Therefore, everyone was waiting. This matter couldn't be rushed. Lin Feng spent a lot of money to get the All-Knowing Pavilion to help him gather information about Senior Duguya. The Mercenary Association's information in the inland world was limited. Lin Feng now had some doubts. He wondered if Senior Duguya was in the oceanic world. The All-Knowing Pavilion's information network covered the entire oceanic world. Lin Feng hoped that the All-Knowing Pavilion could help him gather information about Senior Duguya. Lin Feng needed to gather information about his parents from Duguya. He even wanted to find out where his mother was sealed. Lin Gongzi. This is a communication jade talisman, specially refined by the All-Knowing Pavilion. This jade talisman can be used to contact me. As long as I gather information, I will immediately contact Lin Gongzi through the communication jade talisman. Sun Qiantao took out a jade talisman and handed it to Lin Feng. Good. I hope you can gather the information I want. Lin Feng nodded. He did not stay in the All-Knowing Pavilion for long. After leaving, He asked Gu to bring him to a place where he could buy top-grade poisons. Gu brought Lin Feng to the Thunder Island's black market. With Gu introduction, Lin Feng met a cultivator who specialized in selling poisons in the black market. This cultivator was actually an extremely charming young woman, which surprised Lin Feng. It was hard to imagine that such a charming young woman was actually an expert in refining poisons. Chapter 1859. After a brief introduction, Lin Feng learned that the woman was called the femme fatale. She was an expert in refining poisons. It was said that the femme fatale was a foreign cultivator, and there were several powerful shops in the black market. They were all guarded by experts. However, those shops were later taken over by the femme fatale. Now, the femme fatale was the only shop left in the black market. What kind of poisons do you want, Lin Gongzi? I have some common poisons, such as the crimson crane crown and 1,000 miles incense. I also have some deadly poisons, such as the heartbreak powder. Lin Feng said, all the poisons. Put them all in place. I want them all. Oh, you want them all? The femme fatale narrowed her eyes and said, if you want them all, the price will not be cheap. Without 3 million origin crystals, you will not be able to buy all the poisons I have here. Lin Feng waved his right hand. 3 long rivers of origin crystals flew out. 1 river of origin crystals was worth 1 million. 3 rivers of origin crystals were worth 3 million. He. Young master is really generous. Young master, please wait here for a moment. This servant will go and prepare the poison for you, the femme fatale said with a smile. She then ordered the shopkeeper to talk to Lin Feng while she went to prepare the poisons herself. After arriving at the poison room, the femme fatale said to a servant beside her, go to the city lord's mansion and see Lei Shaoli. Tell him that the target might have appeared. Let him see if it's him. Yes. After the maidservant responded, she quickly left. Not long after, Lei Shaoli arrived. He entered the poison room and said, Mistress 13, you said that the kid has already arrived in Thunder City. I'm not sure if it's him, but you can take a look, the femme fatale said. She then waved her right hand, and an image appeared in the air. It was an image. It was the scene in the living room. There were 3 people in the living room. They were Lin Feng, Gu and the shopkeeper of the femme fatale shop. Lei Shaoli took out a jade tube. He poured his magic power into the jade tube, and the jade tube reflected an image. This video was the video of the battle between Lin Feng and Hong Zhang and the others on the Divine Land Trading Company's ship. That's right, it's him. I didn't think that I would really come to Thunder Island. Lei Shaoli's eyes flickered with a sinister light. How do you plan to deal with this person? After capturing him, we'll hand him over to Hong Tianqi? The femme fatale asked. Lei Shaoli said. Hong Tianqi said that if he came to the Thunder Island, he would buy a lot of poisons. He did what Hong Tianqi said and bought a lot of poisons. Obviously, Hong Tianqi knows why he bought so many poisons, but he didn't tell me the reason. Previously, the Divine Prefecture Trading Company had schemed so hard to kill him, even losing Hong Zhang and a group of experts. What does this mean? The femme fatale's eyes lit up as she said, this kid must have some powerful treasure on him that made Hong Tianqi want to kill him so badly. Lei Shaoli nodded and said, it should be so. Then you plan to capture this brat and interrogate him about the treasures on his body? Then you'll take them for yourself? The femme fatale narrowed her eyes at Lei Shaoli. Lei Shaoli said with a smile, that's exactly what I'm thinking. Hong Tianqi paid you 5 million origin crystals to help him capture this kid. You captured him, but didn't hand him over to Hong Tianqi. If news of this spreads, your reputation will be greatly affected. It will also be extremely disadvantageous for Thunder Island. The femme fatale said, The cooperation between these large factions was all about honesty. If there was no honesty, then no one would cooperate with you in the future. This was what the femme fatale was worried about. This was the reality that Lei Shaoli was facing. Lei Shaoli said with a smile, "I didn't say that I wouldn't hand this brat over to Hong Tianqi. Hong Tianqi only asked me to hand him over. He didn't say whether he wanted him dead or alive." The femme fatale knew what Lei Shaoli was planning to do after hearing his words. She asked, "How do you plan to capture him? Do you need me to do it myself? Maybe you can use poison to deal with him." This brat bought so many poisons. It seems that he has done some research on poisons. It won't be easy to deal with him with poison. Once he discovers some clues, he'll definitely be on guard. It won't be easy to capture him then. Lei Shaoli raised his eyebrows and said, "What's your plan?" The femme fatale asked, "Didn't he say that he wanted to buy a lot of poisons? Tell him that you have a large supply of them and lure him to the city lord's mansion. I'll activate the restrictions of the city lord's mansion and trap him there. It'll be like catching a turtle in a jar," Lei Shaoli said with a smile, as if he had everything under control. The femme fatale nodded and said, "Okay, go back and make preparations. Since we're going to make a move, we can't let him escape. Otherwise, there'll be endless trouble." "Okay," Lei Shaoli nodded and left. Lin Feng and the shopkeeper chatted idly. Giggles could be heard coming from the outside. The femme fatale walked in. "Lin Gongzi, all the poisons have been prepared. They're all in this storage ring." The femme fatale handed a storage ring to Lin Feng. Lin Feng inspected it and found a small mountain of porcelain bottles. He nodded in satisfaction. There must be all kinds of poisons in those bottles. Lin Feng stood up and said, "Since I've got the poisons, I won't stay any longer." The femme fatale smiled and said, "Young master, there's no need to be in such a hurry. Is there anything else you need from me?" Lin Feng asked. Femme fatale said, "Today, young master, you've purchased a large amount of poisons. I have a connection with one of my seniors who is also a master in refining poisons. He should have accumulated a lot of poisons over the years. If young master wants, I can go and meet him and tell him that young master is purchasing poisons." "Okay, then I'll have to trouble you, fellow Taoist." Lin Feng cupped his fists and said, "He. The femme fatale laughed and said, "Come to my shop tomorrow at 6 o'clock. I'll go with you to my elder's residence." "No problem." Lin Feng nodded. The femme fatale sent Lin Feng out and returned. Lin Feng, what a handsome guy. Looks like he's going to die in Thunder City." The femme fatale couldn't help but mutter to herself. It was unknown whether she was laughing coldly or feeling sorry for Lin Feng. Chapter 1860. After leaving the black market, Lin Feng found an inn to stay in and then rewarded Guer with 10 origin crystals. Guer thanked him profusely and left. Lin Feng continued to use poison to cultivate the white jade toad. The transformation of the white jade toad would still take some time. He would need to use a lot of poison to cultivate it. This kind of thing could not be rushed and had to be done step by step. In the evening, Lin Feng went to a brothel in Lei City. He called some dancers and singers. He drank wine and enjoyed the beautiful dancers. He listened to the melodious songs of the singers. Lin Feng was enjoying himself like a celestial being. Usually, Lin Feng rarely had such free time. Tonight, he could relax properly. Lin Feng didn't leave until late at night. Even though it was late at night, Thunder City was still very lively. Whoosh! He saw a black shadow flash past. He was originally a little drunk, but now he instantly sobered up. It's that black-robed cultivator. Where is he going in such a hurry? Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter. That black-robed cultivator was very mysterious. When he was on the ancient ship, Lin Feng had paid attention to him. Moreover, that black-robed cultivator was also abnormally strong. Lin Feng didn't chase after him. Everyone had their own secrets. Although he didn't become friends with that black-robed cultivator, Lin Feng didn't want to be friends with him. If he chased after him this time, it was very likely that he would become an enemy. He returned to his residence and rested for the night. When he woke up the next morning, he heard someone shouting outside. "Hurry up and take a look. Two powerful cultivators are having a life-and-death battle in the sea." After hearing the news, many people rushed outside. A life-and-death battle between experts? Who is it? Lin Feng was a little puzzled. He also flew out of the city. When he arrived at the seaside, there were already many cultivators gathered around. A fierce battle was taking place within the ocean region as two cultivators fought one another. One of the cultivators was clad in a suit of golden armor. Additionally, there was a pair of large golden wings on his back. Clearly, that was a human cultivator. However, he didn't know which race that cultivator was from. Surprisingly, Lin Feng knew the cultivator on the other side, one of the 9 great young masters of the demonic path, the evil young master. This person had always been pursuing Shui Linglong, but Shui Linglong had always kept a distant attitude towards him. Lin Feng never thought that he would see evil Yu Gongzi here. For some unknown reason, the evil Yu Gongzi started fighting with the cultivator with the golden wings on his back. Both sides fought intensely and were locked in a stalemate. Both of their cultivations were extremely high and terrifying. It would not be an easy task to determine the outcome of the battle. "Young Master Xieyu, you have improved a lot compared to before." The winged cultivator sneered. "Golden Eagle Prince, all these years, you haven't made any progress." Xie Yu Gongzi sneered. "Evil young master, Golden Eagle Child, these two people's identities are not simple. One is one of the 9 great young masters of the Demon Tao, while the other is one of the 8 great young masters of the Demon Tao. Both of them have unique skills and are experts on the prodigy role." That's right. They are both top experts. However, I don't know why the two of them are fighting. This matter can be traced back to a few years ago. During one of their training sessions, they had a dispute and thus became enemies. Now that the two of them have met, it's as though they are enemies. A cultivator whispered, talking about the grudge between the two of them. Although the battle was intense, it was difficult for the two of them to defeat each other. Therefore, after a few thousand rounds, the two of them stopped. Golden Eagle Prince flew into the distance and soon disappeared without a trace. As for evil Yu Gongzi, he flew towards Thunder City. The cultivators who were watching the show returned one after another. Many of them were still discussing the exciting battle. This battle was destined to be unforgettable. Lin Feng also returned to Thunder City. In the afternoon, he went to the black market and met the femme fatale. The femme fatale said with a smile, "Young master, you came at the right time. The carriage is already prepared. Let's get on the carriage and talk as we go." Lin Feng nodded and boarded the carriage with the femme fatale. The coachman drove the carriage into the distance. Along the way, the two of them talked about the trade. The femme fatale then tried to find out about Lin Feng's identity. Lin Feng did not hide anything from her. He told the femme fatale that he was a disciple of the Reincarnation Immortal sect. After the poison matriarch heard this, a trace of seriousness appeared between her brows, and then she felt relieved. The slight change in her expression did not escape Lin Feng's notice. Lin Feng could not help but be cautious. After about 2 hours, the coachman's voice could be heard. "My lord, we have arrived." The femme fatale looked at Lin Feng and said with a smile, "Let's get off." Lin Feng nodded and got off the carriage with the femme fatale. He looked around and found that he was in a very large courtyard. There were no servants in the courtyard. It was empty. The femme fatale said, "My elder likes peace and quiet, so he has very few servants." Lin Feng did not suspect anything and continued walking with the femme fatale. They entered the main hall. After waiting for a while, a cultivator in his 30s walked in. "Ha ha, you must be Lin Gongzi, right?" the cultivator said with a smile. Lin Feng nodded. "What's your name?" "Your Excellency." "I am Lei Shaoli." Lin Feng was shocked when he heard the name. Lei Shaoli. Isn't he the young city lord of Thunder City? No wonder the femme fatale was able to control the poison trade in Thunder City so quickly. "Nice to meet you." Lin Feng cupped his fists. Lei Shaoli said with a smile, "I'm here on behalf of the elders in my clan. This storage ring contains the poison you need. It's worth 50 million origin crystals, but I'm not sure if you can handle it." Lei Shaoli took out a storage ring as he spoke. Lin Feng said, "Of course." "Brother Lin, please count the amount of poison here," said Lei Shaoli. Then he gave the bag to Lin Feng. Lin Feng nodded and reached out to check the contents of the storage ring. At that moment, Lei Shaoli and the femme fatale attacked at the same time, one in front and one behind. Both of them prepared a powerful attack and charged at Lin Feng. The two of them had taken advantage of Lin Feng's unguarded state to attack Lin Feng. It was extremely sinister. Success. Lei Shaoli and the femme fatale's eyes lit up. Their attacks were about to hit Lin Feng. They hadn't thought that they would be able to kill Lin Feng so easily. Chapter 1861. He wanted to catch Lin Feng off guard and catch him off guard. However, just as their attacks were about to hit Lin Feng, swish, a light flashed. Lin Feng silently disappeared. From the moment Lin Feng discovered something strange about the poison matriarch, to the fact that the person she introduced was actually a member of the Lei family, and that the young island master, Lei Shaoli, had personally received him, Lin Feng felt that something was amiss, so he had always been on guard. As expected, these two people did not have good intentions. Lin Feng used the heaven-mending technique to dodge their attacks. In the next moment, he appeared 20 meters away. Heaven-mending technique. Lei Shaoli raised his brows slightly. He was an experienced and knowledgeable person, so he recognized the sacred art that Lin Feng had used. Lin Feng did not feel that there was anything unexpected about it. "We have no grudges in the past, so why do you want to kill me? Could it be that you want to kill me and steal my treasures? Kill me and steal my wealth?" Lin Feng narrowed his eyes as he looked at Lei Shaoli. Within his eyes, there was a cold glint. Lin Feng's principle was, "If you don't offend me, I won't offend you. If you offend me, I'll repay you tenfold." Today, the two sides were already in a situation where they would not rest until one of them was dead. Lei Shaoli waved his right hand. Suddenly, the entire courtyard was enveloped by a powerful restriction. He had long been prepared to catch Lin Feng like a turtle in a jar. The grudges in the world are all due to a conflict of interest. Between you and me, it is naturally the same. Lei Shaoli said casually. Lin Feng said indifferently, "I'll buy your poison. I'll give you money. You're still not satisfied. You want to kill me and swallow my wealth. I've never seen someone as greedy as you." Ha ha ha. Lei Shaoli suddenly laughed out loud. Lin Feng asked, "What are you laughing at?" Lei Shaoli looked at Lin Feng with contempt and said, "I'm laughing at you. You're about to die, but you still don't know why you're dying. How sad." Lin Feng asked, "Then can you tell me why you want to kill me?" "You know, Hong Qianqi, you spent a large sum of money to have me pay attention to a cultivator who was wantonly buying poisons. That person is obviously you. I've also learned about what happened on the Divine Land Trading Company's fleet. Hong Tianqi has been trying so hard to find you. It seems that the treasures on you are enough to drive people crazy. Lin Feng asked, "So you're saying that you're working for someone else?" Lei Shali sneered and said, "I'll take Hong Tianqi's money, and I'll take your treasures as well." Lin Feng said, "What a greedy guy. I'm afraid the one who will die today will be you." Shameless boasting. I've already broken through to the second layer of the celestial god realm, and I have Lady Shirsan's help add that to the formation. And you think I can't kill you? Lei Shali sneered. He didn't care about Lin Feng at all. Of course, the power that Lei Shali had was indeed powerful. If it was anyone else, they would be full of confidence. Is that so? Let's see who will win in the end. Lin Feng's expression was indifferent as he stepped forward and walked towards Lei Shali. "Lady Shirsan, release the poison. I'll activate the formation to deal with him." Lei Shali shouted, "No problem." The femme fatale nodded and waved her sleeve. In an instant, the poisonous fog rolled. It swept towards Lin Feng. The femme fatale was indeed an expert in using poison. Even the 3,000 great poison technique could not neutralize the poison that she had refined. At the same time, Lei Shali also activated the formation. Boom, boom, boom. Terrifying formation runes swept over and blasted towards Lin Feng. The power was truly terrifying. Facing the formation's attack, Lin Feng stepped forward. The formation runes that looked like chains of order could not touch Lin Feng's body at all. Formation expert. Lei Shali frowned slightly. The level of formation that Lin Feng had displayed had surprised him. At this time, the femme fatale's poison had already surged over. Lin Feng had made contact with the white jade toad. The white jade toad flew out. It stood on Lin Feng's shoulder. "Croak! Croak!" the white jade toad cried out, and then suddenly sucked in. All the poison was absorbed by the white jade toad. Oh my God! It's actually the legendary white jade toad. No wonder Hong Tianqi was plotting to kill him. The femme fatale exclaimed, "Let's attack together and kill him." Lei Shali's eyes were filled with endless greed. He couldn't wait to kill Lin Feng and snatch the white jade toad away. He and the femme fatale rushed into the formation and attacked Lin Feng. 9 heavens divine thunder palm, 10,000 poison hands. Lei Shali and the femme fatale each used a powerful divine ability and attacked Lin Feng. Swoosh! A light flashed. The god realm clone flew out and attacked the femme fatale. Lin Feng, on the other hand, attacked Lei Shali. He said coldly, "Lei Shali, do you think that you can kill me with your second firmament, celestial god cultivation? If you think so, then you are gravely mistaken. Today, I will let you die without a burial ground. I will let you know what a miserable outcome you will face if you dare to scheme against me." As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Feng attacked. He was multitasking. First, he activated the Archean Dragonesque Elephant Art. He summoned the Archean Dragonesque Elephant Original Spirit. Then, he used the burning wrath of the heavens and condensed the 4-colored flames. At the same time, he used the confinement magnetic field. The attacks of the two sides collided fiercely, and the energy shock wave instantly destroyed the hall. This Lei Shali was indeed abnormally terrifying. Lin Feng was multitasking, but he couldn't injure him. Lei Shali laughed sinisterly. "Kid, a method of multitasking. You have some ability." A lightning giant blade appeared in Lei Shali's right hand. Like the reincarnation of the thunder god, the blade slashed towards Lin Feng. Right now, Lin Feng's combat strength was roughly equivalent to a first firmament celestial god. If he was multitasking and pushed his combat strength to the limit, it was roughly equivalent to a second firmament celestial god. This Lei Shali was a second firmament celestial god, very powerful, but after exchanging blows, Lei Shali also knew that it was not easy to kill Lin Feng, so he took out his treasure. This treasure was called the Nine Heavens Demon Slaying Thunder Dragon Blade. It was a giant divine soldier-level treasure. Its power was abnormally terrifying. By relying on this treasure, Lei Shali could easily kill enemies of a higher level. Facing Lei Shali's attack, Lin Feng's expression was indifferent. Competing with magic treasures? Who could compare to him? Lin Feng waved his hand. Nine Demons Diagram. Heaven Swallowing Jar. The revered sword tomb flew out. The Nine Demons diagram directly swept towards Lei Shali's Nine Heavens Demon slaying Thunder Dragon Blade. Lei Shali was instantly sent flying. The web between his thumb and index finger that was holding the giant blade was split open from the impact, and blood immediately flowed out. The Heaven Swallowing Jar swept out waves of destructive power and sent Lei Shali flying. Barf! Lei Shali could not help but vomit blood. Two Emperor weapons. Lei Shali shouted in horror. Swoosh! 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 At the same time, the revered sword tomb opened. For treasured swords flew out and slashed towards Lei Shali. Break! Lei Shali roared and swept out his spear, wanting to sweep the four treasured swords away. But at this moment, the Nine Demons diagram and Heaven Swallowing Jar attacked Lei Shali again. No! Lei Shali shouted in horror, facing the attacks of so many magic treasures. He could not completely block them. The Nine Demons diagram was the first to break through Lei Shali's defense and attacked his body. Half of Lei Shali's body exploded. The destructive power swept out by the Heaven Swallowing Jar almost shattered Lei Shali's body. Immediately after, the four flying swords rushed over and directly dismembered Lei Shali. Both sides had only exchanged a few blows, and Lei Shali had already died tragically in Lin Feng's hands. Chapter 1862. The outcome of a battle between cultivators had always been decided by a combination of many factors. Dharma treasures could often play a decisive role in a battle of life and death. After killing Lei Shali, Lin Feng kept his storage ring and Dharma treasures. At this moment, Lin Feng wanted to kill Lady Femme as well. However, when Lady Femme saw that Lin Feng had killed Lei Shali, she hurriedly repelled the celestial state clone and fled. By the time Lin Feng wanted to kill Lady Femme, it was already too late. Lin Feng put away the Nine Demons painting, Regal Sword Tomb, and Heaven Devouring Jar. The celestial state clone turned into a ray of light and flew into his body. Then, Lin Feng quickly left. Lei Shali's death would definitely cause a huge uproar. The Thunder Island would definitely not let this matter rest. This was foreseeable. Lin Feng quickly left the courtyard. Kill him, under Lady Femme's lead. The Lei family's guards charged over. However, Lin Feng did not continue fighting. The Lei family's patriarch, Lei Wanli, was a peak heavenly god. If he waited until that old thing appeared, death would be the only way out. Lin Feng's speed was too fast. He was so fast that the Lei family's guards had not surrounded him yet. He had already charged out of the encirclement. Then he left. After leaving Thunder City, he flew toward the great Immortals Island. Boom! Suddenly, the void trembled. A cultivator stepped out and threw a punch at Lin Feng. Lin Feng was stupefied. He hastily threw a punch at him. Bang! The two sides collided. Lin Feng was forced back dozens of meters. At this moment, he finally saw who the other party was. This person was Evil Prince. Evil Prince, you also like to use sneak attacks? No, Wonder Senior's sister Linglong doesn't like you. Now, I finally know the reason. Ha 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 ha. Lin Feng laughed. Kid, what did you say? Evil Yu Gongzi's eyes instantly shot out a dense killing intent. Lin Feng sneered. Today, I have no interest in fighting with you here. Let's settle our grudges in the future. Whoosh! Lin Feng turned into a streak of light and flew into the distance. Where are you going? Evil young master coldly shouted as he chased after Lin Feng. The experts of the Lei clan had also chased after Lin Feng. But how could it be so easy for these people to catch up with Lin Feng? Over the years, other than Xia Shiyun, very few people could be faster than him. The experts of the Lei family were the same. Evil Yu Gongzi was the same. 6 hours later, Lin Feng had completely shaken off the Evil Yu Gongzi and the experts of the Lei family. Although Lin Feng was surprised by Evil Yu Gongzi's sneak attack today, Lin Feng was already prepared to face off against Evil Yu Gongzi. The first time Lin Feng had seen Prince Xieyu, he had sensed a strong killing intent from the subhuman. Evil Yu Gongzi was a very jealous person. Any man who dared to get close to Shui Linglong would be treated as an enemy. Although Lin Feng and Shui Linglong only had feelings for each other, Evil Yu Gongzi did not think so. He wanted to eliminate anyone who could pose a threat to him. In Evil Yu Gongzi's opinion, Lin Feng was the biggest threat. Firstly, Lin Feng did not leave the injured Shui Linglong behind when he was surrounded by Evil Yu Gongzi and Jin Luiyue. Instead, he risked his life to protect Shui Linglong. Shui Linglong was definitely grateful to Lin Feng. Secondly, Lin Feng and Shui Linglong were from the same sect. They had many interactions. The pavilion closest to the water enjoys the moonlight first. Love grows with time. Who knew what would happen in the future? Therefore, in Evil Yu Gongzi's opinion, Lin Feng was someone he had to kill. 3 days later, when Lin Feng was resting on an island, a group of dozens of cultivators landed and launched a crazy attack on Lin Feng. Humph! Lin Feng could not help but snort coldly and fight with these people. A group of experts were all killed by him. After collecting the storage rings of these people, Lin Feng found a jade tube in one of the storage rings. Inside the jade tube was a bounty. This was a bounty issued by Thunder City. The content was as follows. Anyone who can capture this person, regardless of life or death, will be rewarded with 100 million origin crystals by Thunder City. Lin Feng's appearance was also imprinted on the jade tube. Lin Feng sneered. No wonder these people attacked me. So it was Thunder City who issued a bounty of 100 million origin crystals. This Thunder City is really willing to pay a heavy price. He casually threw the jade tube on the ground. Then, he soared into the sky and continued to fly in the direction of the great Immortals Island. Lin Feng did not change his appearance. With his current cultivation base, there was no need to disguise himself. If God came, he would kill God. If Buddha came, he would kill Buddha. The reward of 100 million origin crystals was too tempting. Naturally, there were many cultivators who were not afraid of death. Many people came out to look for Lin Feng. Along the way, there were more than a dozen battles of various sizes. But all the cultivators who came to kill him, Lin Feng didn't show any mercy. He killed all of them. Some of the cultivators who came out to kill Lin Feng to get the reward saw that Lin Feng was so powerful and left one after another. The reward of 100 million origin crystals was extremely tempting, but one had to consider whether they had the ability to obtain it. The night was bright. The smell of meat came from the island. Lin Feng drank wine and ate barbecued meat. He was very happy. In the distance, Streaks of light flew over. There were more than a dozen people in total. Soon, these people landed. Senior brother, senior sister, look, isn't that the kid wanted by Thunder City? A cultivator pointed at Lin Feng. The others nodded. Then they walked towards Lin Feng. People from the Supreme Immortal Sect. Lin Feng raised his eyebrows slightly. Although the Supreme Immortal Sect was a behemoth force, it was still a force that no one could contend against. Because this force had the legendary immortal artifact. Even a powerful figure like the Red World Fairy, under the deterrence of the Supreme Immortal Sect's immortal artifact, they did not dare to act rashly. This group of people was led by 2 men and a woman. The purple-clothed man in the lead was called Mo Fei. The white-clothed man was called Wan Tianan, and the woman was called Ma Rong, said Mo Fei while looking at Lin Feng indifferently. Little boy, you're a genius. With so many people besieging you, you can still live until now. You have some ability. As long as you hand over the treasures on you, we will spare your life. The people from the Supreme Immortal Sect had always been arrogant and domineering. Now that Lin Feng was alone, they naturally did not put him in their eyes. In their opinion, they could do whatever they wanted to Lin Feng. They could humiliate Lin Feng however they wanted. If Lin Feng dared to refuse their request, only death would await him. Chapter 1863. Said Lin Feng indifferently, "You're just a motley crew, and you dare act atrociously in front of me? Are you tired of living?" After hearing Lin Feng's words, the disciples of the Taishang Immortal Sect were stunned. Then, their eyes were filled with killing intent. A motley crew? Someone actually dared to call them a motley crew? The disciples of the Taishang Immortal Sect were all high and mighty figures. Wherever they went, they would be surrounded by stars. In the eyes of the Taishang Immortal Sect, they would spare Lin Feng's life. This was already their mercy. However, Lin Feng did not know what was good for him. Wan Tianan sneered. "Kid, do you know what you're talking about? Don't think too highly of yourself." Lin Feng said indifferently. Ma Rong screamed. "Kid, you're shameless, aren't you? We gave you a way out, but you don't know how to cherish it. If that's the case, we don't mind crushing you like a bug." After Ma Rong finished speaking, the disciples of the Taishang Immortal Sect surrounded Lin Feng. "I'm a disciple of the Reincarnation Immortal Sect." "What? As the leader of the Immortal Tao, you want to kill a disciple of the Immortal Sect? If word gets out, do you think you can bear the blame?" Lin Feng couldn't help but sneer. "Ha ha ha." The disciples of the Taishang Immortal Sect suddenly laughed. "So you're a disciple of the Reincarnation Immortal Sect. So what if we kill you? Our Taishang Immortal Sect is the strongest force in the 9 states. If we say you're a disciple of the Immortal Tao, then you're a disciple of the Immortal Tao. If we say you're a disciple of the Devil Tao, then you're a disciple of the Devil Tao. In our opinion, you're a heinous disciple of the Devil Tao. You joined the Reincarnation Immortal Sect as a spy with evil intentions. Since our Taishang Immortal Sect is the leader of the Immortal Tao, we have the obligation to punish evil and promote good. We'll kill an evil spy like you and return peace to the world." Mo Fei said with a sneer, directly reversing the facts. This was the style of the Taishang Immortal Sect. Many people cursed the Taishang Immortal Sect as the biggest evil force, and it was not without reason. On the surface, the Supreme Immortal Sect was the leader of the righteous path. However, in reality, the actions of the Supreme Immortal Sect were even more demonic than the evil demons. If an evil demon wanted to kill someone and steal their treasures, they would do so in a straightforward manner. However, if the Supreme Immortal Sect wanted to kill people and steal their treasures, it would not be like this, directly slandering others as evil demons. However, in this world, there weren't many people or forces that dared to refute the Supreme Immortal Sect, because the Supreme Immortal Sect was simply too powerful. Lin Feng mocked. No wonder the Red World Fairy rebelled against the Supreme Immortal Sect back then. The Supreme Immortal Sect was simply an evil sect. The Red World Fairy had done well. The Supreme Immortal Sect is too appropriate to describe them as sanctimonious and heinous. I don't think the Supreme Immortal Sect will exist for many years. Perhaps it won't be long before the Supreme Immortal Sect is destroyed by the Red World Fairy. Brat, you deserve to die. The group of disciples of the Supreme Immortal Sect immediately roared. Their eyes were bloodshot, and they wished that they could cut Lin Feng into 1,000 pieces. The Red World Fairy would always be a thorn in the heart of the Supreme Immortal Sect. The Red World Fairy had brought too much humiliation to the Supreme Immortal Sect. Everyone in the Supreme Immortal Sect viewed the Red World Fairy as their enemy. They wished that they could tear the Red World Fairy into 10,000 pieces. However, the people of the Supreme Immortal Sect were incomparably afraid of the Red World Fairy because the Red World Fairy was simply too strong. If it weren't for the fact that the Supreme Immortal Sect possessed an immortal artifact, the Supreme Immortal Sect might have really been destroyed by the Red World Fairy. No one dared to mention the Red World Fairy in front of the cultivators of the Supreme Immortal Sect, because it would deeply stimulate the self-esteem of the cultivators of the Supreme Immortal Sect. Now that Lin Feng had brought up the Red World Fairy, it had indeed stimulated the self-esteem of the people of the Supreme Immortal Sect. The disciples of the Supreme Immortal Sect were all filled with killing intent. Tai Yuan Demon Palm, Heavenly Dipper Snow Lion Technique, Great Dragon, Subduing God Fist, Heavenly Tao Breaking Finger, Supreme Primeval Chaos Slash. In their fury, the disciples of the Supreme Immortal Sect burst out with their most powerful divine abilities. All kinds of divine ability attacks gathered together, forming a torrent of attacks. It was as if it could destroy the heavens and the earth as it flooded towards Lin Feng. In the face of such a tyrannical attack, Lin Feng's expression was indifferent. He directly activated the ancient dragonesque elephant art and summoned the ancient dragonesque elephant original spirit. Roar. An earth-shaking roar was heard as the ancient dragonesque elephant original spirit appeared. It roared towards the sky, shaking the 9 heavens. The ancient dragonesque elephant raised its huge foot and stomped down. Suddenly, the torrent of attacks from the disciples of the Supreme Immortal Sect was instantly crushed. Then, the ancient dragonesque elephant original spirit punched out. Bang, bang, bang. Following a series of muffled collisions, the disciples of the Supreme Immortal Sect were sent flying one after another. The attack of the ancient dragonesque elephant original spirit was too overbearing. Anyone who was hit by the ancient dragonesque elephant original spirit, even if they didn't die, they would be seriously injured. In the blink of an eye, 7 or 8 people were killed. Not good. This child is ferocious. Quickly use the magic treasure to kill him. Mo Face shouted in a deep voice. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. One magic treasure after another was used to attack Lin Feng. Roar. The ancient dragonesque elephant original spirit once again let out an earth-shaking roar. All the magic treasures were directly grabbed by the ancient dragonesque elephant, unable to cause any harm to Lin Feng. Although the cultivation of the disciples of the Supreme Immortal Sect was extraordinary, but there were no top experts, unless it was the top experts among the holy sons and holy daughters of the Supreme Immortal Sect. For example, Dugud Di Tian of the 3 Supreme Holy Sons. Such an expert was still able to suppress Lin Feng, but the gap between the ordinary disciples and Lin Feng was too big. The ancient dragon-esque elephant original spirit continued to display its might. It rushed forward. Bang, bang, bang. One by one, the bodies of the disciples of the supreme immortal sect directly exploded, leaving only Mo Fei, Wan Tianan, and Ma Rong. It's your turn. Lin Feng's expression was indifferent as he controlled the ancient dragon-esque elephant original spirit and continued to attack the disciples of the supreme immortal sect. Fight! 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 If you don't fight, we're going to die. Ma Rong screamed crazily. This woman seemed to have turned into a lunatic. Her face was distorted as she roared hysterically. Mo Fei gritted his teeth and took out a golden little man. Life ignition, blood sacrifice. Mo Fei, Wan Tianan, and Ma Rong all roared. Each of their eyes were ferocious and terrifying. Then their bodies burned fiercely. In the blink of an eye, their lifespans had been burned until they were only left with 3 years. In order to sacrifice that golden little man, they had lost so much of their lifespan. Such a price was simply too great. Roar. Suddenly, the golden little man let out an earth-shaking roar. Then, it turned into a 1,000-meter-tall golden giant. Waves of destructive power surged out of the golden giant's body.